Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Antifa Friday, a continuing series that we're going to do around here. I appreciate you all joining us. Like we always say, we know you have many, many choices to make every single morning, and we are so grateful that you choose to spend some time with us. It is indeed the worst wing, for sure. Before we get into our show this morning, I just want to remind folks, if you could please tap and share, because tapping is clapping and sharing is caring. Really, really appreciate that. I just want to address a few things. Well, let me take care of the PSAs first. I'll just clear my head. Subscribers. We have some reporting on. I'm not going to call it reporting, but we'll get into some specifics about the TikTok ban. There's comments that's very likely it is going to be extended past April 5th, which is the deadline next week. But we don't know the future of this space, so I would encourage you to not subscribe here and instead consider subscribing at FactsStillMatter.site. I would really, really appreciate that. And while on that particular topic, I want to say thank you to Jill, to Low Germany, to NoF34R, to Jen, and to other recent subscribers. We appreciate you all very, very much. So there's that. You'll find the link to the Facts HQ in the link tree that's in my bio. Also, you can just subscribe to FactsStillMatter.site. Also, there's some new merch over there, including some QR codes. We've got another few items that we're going to be rolling out here over the next few days, including mugs. So there's that. All right, I want to address the last 36 hours in the TikTok streets. For those of you who were watching my show or checking in with Left Jess and or the MBW team or USMC Matt yesterday, the revelations about a creator that we have platformed numerous times have come out, and there's lots of information connected to that. And I want to say this: I am not a victim. I am a privileged white man in America, and I am part of the problem. It is all men until it is no men. In particular, it is all white men until it is no men. And oftentimes, the enemy, right? The people who position themselves and present themselves as ideologically liberal and progressive, and are the ones that are claiming to be so, are oftentimes the worst. And I am not a victim. This individual victimized many, many people and manipulated many, many people. And I platformed that individual numerous times. In fact, I even sought his participation in conversations about safe spaces, about protection for marginalized communities, about numerous things. This individual, Ben, has been on our platform many, many times. And I would just like to say that if anybody became caught up in that particular web because you saw him on my show, I am deeply sorry about that. I'm deeply sorry. I was stunned and surprised. I shouldn't say surprised. Stunned for sure. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry that happened. And I am not a victim, but so many of us were lied to directly. And once again, I'm incredibly sorry that happened. There's information that you can find in our Discord, specifically about this. If you're interested in learning more, you can reach out to me directly. But I'd like to try to just remind people that there's no such thing as a safe space, in particular for women, marginalized groups, agender people, femme-presenting women. There's no such thing as a safe space. We discussed yesterday a few items that you should be on the lookout for, red flags, and we're going to continue to talk about these things. So once again, I am sorry if anyone was exposed to and or then manipulated by Ben. I am deeply sorry about that. So here we are. It's still the hang on a second. I'm sorry, guys. Just trying to. All right. So So if anybody has any questions, again, please feel free to reach out to me or to our community in general. So, okay, so there's a gifting goal today. Please consider contributing to the gifting goal. Please join our team. We were going to schedule an event this weekend to do Cards Against Humanity. We didn't get anybody to sign up. Me, didn't do the best job of promoting it just because of lots of things that were happening this week. So we're going to try again. So this is a subscribers only event. We did it in Discord as a test drive a couple weeks ago, and it's really a lot of fun. And like I say a million times, the single best card in Cards Against Humanity is Grandma's side boob. Yes, mic drop. So be looking out for that again. Just another opportunity to be a subscribers only benefit, we'll say. Sorry, I haven't slept much the past couple of days, so but we'll get through it. Anyway, all right. So there's still a lot of reeling happening within the Trump administration, attempting to cover the egregious national security foible that they perpetrated. Everybody but themselves are responsible. But let's just check the Dow first. I didn't do that yet. My apologies. So the Dow closed down 155 points yesterday. It's up over 800 points for the week, but for the month it's down 1,170 points and down nearly 3,000 points since Inauguration Day. All that winning. Gas prices up again, $3.16. And there's actually reporting, and I think it's necessary to talk about this, that the Trump administration is so desperate to try to bring egg prices down. Meanwhile, they're telling Americans that egg prices are down. Well, they were up like 60%, so now they're only up 48%. So I guess that's their way to pivot through this and try to avoid it. So they're turning to Brazil for eggs, and then are also considering imports from Turkey and South Korea due to incidences of bird flu. The U.S. has almost doubled imports of Brazilian eggs, once used only for pet food, and is considering relaxing regulations for eggs laid by chickens raised for meat, as President Trump's administration seeks to bring down sky-high prices spiked by bird flu. While none of the Brazilian or broiler chicken eggs would wind up on grocery shelves, they could be used in processed foods such as cake mixes, ice cream, or salad dressing, freeing up more fresh eggs for shoppers. Allowing the use of broiler chicken eggs would require changing regulations, and some food safety experts warned this could risk tainting food products with harmful bacteria. Nationwide economic strain persists from the virus that has wiped out nearly 170 million chickens, turkeys, and other birds since early 2022. Grocery shoppers peruse thinly stocked shelves. Restaurants have raised menu prices, and wholesale egg prices surged 53% in February before easing a bit in March. So again, allowing the use of broiler chicken eggs would require changing regulations, and some food safety experts warned that this could risk tainting food products and harmful bacteria. Part of the DOGE efficiency movement, in particular within Health and Human Services run by RFK, is cutting staff. FDA, CDC, and NIH, groups, by the way, that monitor these types of things. So the Trump administration, so desperate to falsely deflate the price of eggs that they are willing to put American citizens at risk. It's not a stretch to say that. It's not a stretch. So again, that's something that we'll keep our eyes on as this progresses, because I think you'll see more of it, right? Okay. So when we talk about, Antifa, it is the reason that we are doing this every Friday is because, and initially when I had this idea, it's like, who are we going to identify as the person that we should be focusing on? Well, there's just too many. So from my perspective, it's what they're doing and what they're saying. Yes, Tara, that's correct. Is what they're doing and what they're saying, right? So this whole situation with Signalgate, Whiskey Leaks, if you will, is a perfect example of when you hire people who are unqualified, even though the Trump administration will continue to tell you that it's hiring the best of the best. When they tell you that they're unqualified, and they tell you that that it's that they're the best of the best, the cream of the crop, so to speak. And when they are literally incompetent individuals, you get what you're going to get, right? You get mistakes, you get deflection, lies, and deceit, right? So there's a couple of things that I want to talk about as it relates to the spin. Now, I hate it when I'm right, but I told you guys what they were going to do. They were going to use the same old tactics that they've used forever when they're caught. Whether it be Trump using all caps, the twice impeached, four-time indicted, sexually abusing fraudster, convicted felon, using all caps in Truth Social when he types something because he does not want his followers, his flock, his cult to know the real truth. So he's going to use all caps to get their attention, like the gold watch, so that they don't bother to look past the headlines or don't bother to look past the news that he's telling you. So case in point, KK Caroline was on Fox News, and she was discussing this because she's been getting hammered in the press room, flat out lying. So this is what she had to say.
Joins me now. So does the president have full confidence in his national security team?
President Trump absolutely has the full confidence in his national security team, Jesse. That includes our great national security advisor, Mike Waltz, Secretary Pete Hegseth. And the American people should be grateful to these individuals, and especially to President Trump, for putting together such a competent and highly qualified team who are killing.
Competent and highly qualified. Let's think about that. First of all, Trump's been critical of Mike Waltz, right? Competent and highly qualified. Okay, that's fine. No problem.
Terrorists that the Biden administration allowed to run wild in the Middle East. And that is the real story here. We had Houthi terrorists firing at American naval ships and commercial vessels in the Red Sea. The Biden administration removed the foreign terrorist designation from this radical terrorist group, allowed them to take these actions, put American lives at risk, shut down the freedom of...
That's not true. I'll talk about that in a minute.
And because of the effort of my colleagues and President Trump, we are now killing these terrorists. We have redesignated them as a foreign terrorist organization, and Americans in the world are safer because of it.
So it's kind of strange that of all people, Jeffrey Goldberg entered this chat. Could have been an accident on your team's side, but it also could have been something a little more mischievous on Goldberg's side, as you heard Walt say. What do you think about this character?
It certainly could have been more
Now remember, okay, like we discussed, right? The only way Jeffrey Goldberg could have been included in this chat was if he was invited. And I have some sound about that we'll play in just a moment. Hold on. I'm just going to let this interview play because it keeps starting from scratch. So my apologies. Again, everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. Tapping is clapping. Sharing is caring. You know the drill. We appreciate you all. It is Antifa Friday. Yes, and happy Friday, everybody. Stand by. All right.
Together such a competent and highly qualified team who are killing terrorists that the Biden administration allowed to run wild in the Middle East. And that is the real story here. We had Houthi terrorists firing at American naval ships and commercial vessels in the Red Sea. The Biden administration removed the foreign terrorist designation from this radical terrorist group, allowed them to take these actions, put American lives at risk, shut down the freedom of navigation in
What
the
about
seas.
Biden?
And because of the effort of my colleagues,
What about Biden?
Trump, we are now killing these terrorists. We have redesignated them as a foreign terrorist organization, and Americans in the world are safer because of it.
Right.
So it's kind of strange that of all people, Jeffrey Goldberg entered this chat. Could have been an accident on your team's side, but it also could have been something a little more mischievous on Goldberg's side, as you heard Walt say. What do you think about this character?
It certainly could have been more mischievous, as Mike Waltz alluded to in the previous hour. We are working very hard to find out how this number was inadvertently added to the group chat. It remains a mystery, but we hope that soon it will be solved. And as you heard from the National Security Advisor, Elon Musk's team of experts are looking at this. The White House Counsel's Office and the National Security Council are all digging into this matter, of course, to ensure this can never happen again.
Right.
And as you so rightfully pointed out, the president and the National Security Advisor himself have taken responsibility and recognized that we are moving forward to ensure that communications are secure. And there is nothing better. The Democrats, there's nothing that they're better at than spinning a sensationalist story out of a basic set of facts.
Blame somebody else.
The president and our team have been incredibly transparent about what happened. No classified information was shared in this group chat. But the Democrats would have you believe we have a national security crisis on our hands when we absolutely do not.
Wow.
It's the same playbook they ran with the Russia hoax, which was a perfect phone call between the President Trump and President Zelensky at the time, which they spiraled into a hoax, and then an impeachment, which President Trump was later acquitted of, and that story was later debunked. They did this with the classified documents hoax when President Trump had the legal authority to retain those documents under the Presidential Records Act. And they had you believe that there was top secret information and it was a national security.
Because there was.
They are good at fear-mongering the American public, but not anymore. I think the Americans see the truth. They see past the sensationalist headlines from Jeffrey Goldberg in The Atlantic, which is a dying magazine. And they should trust this president and his national security team, who, again, are getting things done, moving at Trump speed to make this world a safer place.
You have had quite the momentum after the first 2 months. The president called this a glitch. Not a very big one. We've had some market volatility. But besides that, it's been almost flawless.
Totally.
And a lot of great action taking place to protect and help the American people at all levels.
Like what, Jesse?
Do you consider this a slowdown, a bump in the road? How would you characterize it?
No. We are moving full speed ahead here at the White House. We still have the momentum because we have a president who knows how to fight through sensationalist headlines against the fake news media, as you saw President Trump himself do today. He brought the press into that meeting with his ambassadors because he wanted to set the record straight, and he wanted to take questions directly from the press corps about this story. And that's what the American people deserve. So we're going to continue to move forward. We have more great announcements, policy announcements, executive orders to be signed this week. We continue to secure the southern border, deport illegal aliens from American communities to make the lives of the American people safer.
Yeah, college
we continue
students.
to unleash American energy to bring down the inflation nightmare that the Biden administration caused. So we are laser focused on continuing to deliver on President Trump's priorities. We're not going to let the fake news, we're not going to let the weaponized judicial system slow us down. Believe us, Jesse, we are used to this. Look at the adversity President Trump faced on the campaign trail. He's in the Oval Office for a reason. Because he fights like hell.
Yeah, you're right. Compared to the campaign trail in the first term, this is nothing. Caroline, great to talk to you. Have a great night.
Thanks, Jesse.
Okay. I don't even know where to fucking begin to unpack, other than to say that is straight up like North Korean, Russian propaganda. Everybody else is responsible. Literally sitting there lying to the American public on Jesse's show. And you could watch the Chiron. The Chiron is what they put across the bottom of the screen when they want to tell you what's happening. It was like, world is safer. Houthis dead. Right? Again, we know what we know. We know that the only way that Jeffrey Goldberg would have been added to that group chat is if he was added and invited, and he was invited by Mike Waltz to that group chat. We know that. We know that there was classified information in it. We know that. Based on their own definition, issued by the NIH, what constitutes classified information? Operational plans, weapon systems, F-18 timing based on strikes, drone strikes, etc., 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 etc. We know it. They're fucking lying to you, and their mouth-breathing, smooth-brain potatoes are accepting it, because I've been listening to Red Wing Spaces, and they're saying there's no classified information. There's no classified information. And actually, this is how dumb they are. This is what their answer was. F-18s aren't classified. People know we have F-18s. People know. Thank you, Dino. Do you like them? Appreciate you, buddy. Kiss, kiss. That is their argument. That because people know because people know we have F-18s, therefore it's not classified. I'm just trying to think that through, right? I'm literally just trying to think that through. That's been the response. And you heard her. Again, this is straight up North Korean, Russian, autocratic, fake news, go after the mainstream media. This is right out of 1930s Germany playbook. Every fascist government, every autocratic government, this is exactly what they do when they're busted, right? When they're busted. Now, again, the timing of that, and I can't find the specifics of the text, but the timing specifically was, drone strike, and then following that would be the next sortie by the F-18s. Imagine if that information got in the hands of people who would want to do harm to our American pilots, knowing that the airstrike was coming, knowing when, knowing where. It is just. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeehaw! Thank you. So again, we cannot let them gaslight. We can't. So you're going to see people on Fox News, and they're going to literally. Even Republican members of Congress know they're caught. So they're scrambling to try to figure out how to protect this, right? Or how to defend it. And they can't. They're stuck in this spiral of disinformation, because when you tell one lie, as we've learned the past 36 hours, right? When you tell one lie, that leads to another lie, then that leads to another lie, and so on and so forth. And then in the Roger Stone, Roy Cohn method of communicating with the media and communicating with the public, the more lies you tell, eventually people will start to believe it. Do not let them gaslight you. Don't let them tell you that what you saw and what you read and what you are now aware of is anything but the fucking truth. Okay? So on that particular topic, I just want to play some of the highlights from the past few days of Spin. This is Tulsi Gabbard. Don't forget, she lied in her first testimony in front of the Senate, asked about whether or not she was part of the thread. She lied about that. Asked whether or not there was classified information. She lied about that. So this is what she had to say just recently. This is lovely.
Security Advisor Waltz held a press conference yesterday with a clear message. It was a mistake that a reporter was inadvertently added to a Signal chat with high-level national security principals having a policy discussion.
Remember what she just said. It was a mistake that he was added. And that sound we heard from Caroline, KKK Caroline, talking to Jesse Waters, was that, oh, they don't know. Could be he might have snuck in. No.
About imminent strikes against the Houthis and the effects of the strike. National Security Advisor has taken full responsibility for this, and the National Security Council is conducting an in-depth review along with technical experts working to determine how this reporter was inadvertently added to this chat. The conversation was candid and sensitive, but as the President National Security Advisor stated, no classified information was shared. There were no sources, methods, locations, or war plans that were shared. This was a standard update to the National Security Cabinet that was provided alongside updates that were given to foreign partners in the region. The Signal Message app comes pre-installed on government devices. In December of 2024, CISA stated, quote, "We strongly urge highly targeted individuals to immediately review and apply best practices provided in the guidance to protect mobile communications, including consistent use of end-to-end encryption."
Does she think that's a flex? Even the CISA rules said, listen, be careful what you're doing.
And they named Signal as an app as an example of such an end-to-end encrypted messaging app.
Oh my God.
Ideally, these conversations occur in person. However, at times, fast-moving coordination of an unclassified nature is necessary where in-person conversation is not an option. I'm also aware that a lawsuit was filed yesterday on this issue. As a result of that pending litigation.
Oops, sorry. Where is it? Here you go.
I'm limited in my ability to comment further on that specific case. My Office of General Counsel will be in close contact with the Department of Justice on this matter.
Okay. Oh my God! I mean, I again, we can talk about this every single day, and I don't want to talk about it every single day, but we need to, because they are going to do everything they can to push this story to the back, which is why you're seeing other news about increasing tariffs on auto manufacturers who are bringing in finished goods into the country, or why you're seeing the Trump administration bringing eggs from Korea and Turkey and from Brazil that are not edible for humans. They're used in dog food and cat food and things like that. Part of the distraction game, right? Because they don't want you to know what they've done. They can't explain it. So there's more sound from the people involved. This is Hegseth trying to redeem himself a little bit.
Texting war plans. Well, I noticed this morning, out came something that...
Hold on. He said he actually started this by saying nobody was texting war plans. Okay, Pete, whatever.
Texting war plans. Well, I noticed this morning, out came something that doesn't look like war plans. And as a matter of fact, they even changed the title to attack plans, because they know it's not war plans. There's no units.
Okay.
No locations.
Okay.
No routes.
Right.
No flight paths.
Really?
No sources.
Okay.
No methods.
Okay.
No classified information.
No methods?
You know who sees war plans? I see them.
Yeah, we know.
Every single day. I looked at them this morning. I looked at attack plans this morning.
Did you?
You know who does attack plans and war plans? Men like that admiral right there, Paparo, for the Indo-Pacific, or Eric Kurilla, our general in CENTCOM. They do attack plans and war plans, and thank God we have those leaders who do it and do it well, and our enemies know it. My job, as it said atop of that, everybody's seen it now, team update, is to provide updates in real time, general updates in real time, keep everybody informed. That's what I did. That's my job. The war fighters will take the fight to the enemy, and I love what they do. And with President Trump's leadership, our enemies are on notice. We will have peace through strength, and we'll keep putting our troops first. Thank you very much. We're heading off
strike plans
to the
before they launch. Mr. Secretary, how do you square what you said with what your messages show?
Exactly.
Mr. Secretary, did you share classified information? Mr. Secretary, did you declassify that information before you put it in the chat? Are you using Signal for sensitive operations? Why? Sir.
Won't answer. Refused to answer the question. This is, I mean, literally, when someone got in his head, I'm trying to think about this conversation, right? So every government agency has its own press office. So we know the White House has K Caroline. We know the Department of Defense has its own press office. All the government agencies, especially the big ones, they have their own press office, right? So typically speaking, when you coordinate your message, it has to come from every single agency. If you ever watched The West Wing, you know that, right? So the message, the direction comes from the top, and then the dissemination of that information goes to the various agencies involved. So the person on the press side at the Pentagon got in his ear and said, listen, this is what you're going to do. You're going to basically you're going to use the semantic argument that they love to use, saying it's not war plans, it's attack plans. Did you notice in that? Let's just listen to the beginning of this again, because I think it's key.
Nobody's texting war plans. Well, I noticed this morning, out came something that doesn't look like war plans. And as a matter of fact, they even changed the title to attack plans.
Okay, so that I think is really key, right? If you start to understand the fascist mind speak, telling their base in particular, so their base can run with it. And so, because again, you heard Caroline's interview on Fox News saying there was no war plans. So, okay, no war plans. So that's what their echo chamber is going to utter. He did not deny the fact that there were attack plans listed. He didn't deny that now, did he? Right? So that's the deflection. That's the shift. Hold on a second. I just want to go here and check this out, because I think this is the part that I think is the most disturbing with this entire. Let me see if I can find it. Where is that? I want to put the pieces together, and for some reason I had the clip prepared of all the various points. And I want to make sure I have. Okay, here we go. All right. It's behind a paywall, guys. I can't get to that. Actually, I got it. It's right here. Never mind. Okay. Here we go. Remember what he just said, right? No war plans, right? No weapons packages. None of that. No operational information. Again, just real quick. I don't need to belabor this. I just think it's really important based on timing.
Because they know it's not war plans. There's no units, no locations, no routes, no flight paths, no sources, no methods, no classified information.
Okay, that's his claim, right? At 11:44 a.m. Eastern Time, this is on March 12th, I believe. Let me see here. The day of, okay? So this, again, the team update, this is from the article published by The Atlantic. And as a reminder, he was invited to this chat by Mike Walls, okay, he being Jeffrey Goldberg. And then from Pete Hegseth, the Department of Defense, at 11:44 a.m. Eastern Time, Hegseth posted in the chat, in all caps, team update. The text beneath this began, time now, 11:44 Eastern. Weather is favorable. Just confirmed with CENTCOM we are a go for mission launch. CENTCOM, or Central Command, is the military's combatant command for the Middle East. The Hegseth text continues. Remember, no weapons packages, he said. No weapons packages. No plans. No coordination. None of that. That's what his claim was in an attempt to address this. 12:15 Eastern. F-18s launch first strike package. The F-18 is a weapons system, right? 13:45, trigger-based F-18 first strike window starts. Target T-Wrist is at his known location. Should be on time. Also, strike drones launch MQ-9s. Another weapon system. Targeting information at the Houthi at his known location, right? At his known location. Let us pause here for a moment to underscore a point. The signal message shows that the U.S. Secretary of Defense texted a group that included a phone number unknown to him, Goldberg's cell phone, at 11:44 a.m. This was 31 minutes before the first U.S. warplanes launched, and 2 hours and 1 minute before the beginning of a period in which a primary target, the Houthi target T-Wrist, was expected to be unalived by these American aircraft. If this text had been received by someone hostile to an American interest or someone merely indiscreet with access to social media, the Houthis would have had time to prepare for what was meant to be a surprise attack on their strongholds. The consequences for American pilots could have been catastrophic. The Hegseth tweet continued. 14:10, more F-18s launch, second strike package. Stand by, everybody. Let's just go back to this. Let's just go back to this again. His own words, okay?
Texting war plans. Well, I noticed this morning, out came something that doesn't look like war plans. And as a matter of fact, they even changed the title to attack plan.
Oh.
Because they know it's not war plans.
Oh.
There's no units, no locations, no routes, no flight paths, no sources, no methods, no classified information. You know who sees war plans? I see them.
Okay, so you heard all that. Again, the Hegseth tweet or signal message continued. 14:10, more F-18s launch, second strike package. 14:15, strike drones on target. This is when the first bombs will be definitely dropped, pending earlier trigger-based targets. 15:36, F-18 second strike starts. Also, first sea-based Tomahawks launched. Weapons package from destroyers in the Gulf, right? Okay. More to follow per timeline. We are currently clean on OPSEC. That is operational security. Godspeed to our warriors. Shortly after, Vice President J.D. Vance texted the group, I will say a prayer for victory. At 1:48 p.m., Walt sent the following text containing real-time intelligence about conditions at an attack site, apparently in Sana. VP building collapsed. Had multiple positive IDs. Pete Carilla, the IC, amazing job. Waltz was referring here to Hegseth, General Michael E. Carilla, the commander of CENTCOM, and the intelligence community of IC. The reference to multiple positive ID suggests that the U.S. intelligence had ascertained the identities of the Houthi targets or targets using either human or technical assets. 6 minutes later, the vice president, apparently confused Waltz's message, wrote, "What? I was busy with a couch. Sorry. Me and my pillow were curling up." At 2 p.m., Waltz responded, "Typing too fast. The first target, their top missile guy, we had positive ID of him walking into his girlfriend's building, and now it's collapsed." Vance responded a minute later, "Excellent." 35 minutes after that, Ratcliffe, the CIA director, wrote, "A good start," which Waltz followed with a text containing a fist emoji, an American flag emoji, and a fire emoji. The Houthi-run Yemeni Health Ministry reported that at least 53 people were unalived in the strikes, a number that has not yet been independently verified. Although since this article was published, I believe that is the case. 51 adults, 2 children. Later that afternoon, Hegseth again posted, CENTCOM is on point. Notably, he then told the group that attacks would be continuing. Great job, all. More strikes ongoing for hours tonight, and will provide full initial report tomorrow, but on time, on target, and good readouts so far. It is still unclear why a journalist was added to the text exchange. Waltz, who invited Goldberg into the Signal chat, said yesterday that he was investigating how the heck he got into this room. Because you invited him, Mike. You invited him. You were scrolling through your phone. You added him. You might have thought you were placing a DoorDash order, but you weren't. You were inviting, and the memes, by the way, that are traveling the internet are crazy right now. You invited a journalist that you guys, by the way, despise. You invited him into your war planning group chat. Yep. And remember, there's other parts of this story as well, right? Okay, hold on. Let me find the right portion. Okay, this part is interesting, right? Mike Waltz, National Security Director, team establishing a principals group for coordination on Houthis, particularly for over the next 72 hours. My deputy, Alex Wong, is pulling together a Tiger team at deputies, agencies, chiefs of staff level, following up from the meeting in the Situation Room this morning for action items, and we'll be sending that out later this evening. Again, all part of the same communications through the Let's Go Attack Houthis group chat. Please provide the best staff point of contact from your teams for us to coordinate with. Marco Rubio responds with a name. J.D. Vance responds with a name. Tulsi Gabbard, who claimed that she wasn't part of it, responds with a name. Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, responds with a name. Pete Hegseth responds from a name. Brian McCormick responds with a name, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Team, you should have a statement of conclusions with taskings per the President's guidance this morning in your high side inboxes. State and Department of Defense, we developed suggested notification lists for regional allies and partners. Again, this is now about the communication to the people that we didn't want to tell early, but we'll tell now. Team, this is J.D. Vance responding. Team, I am out for the day doing an economic event in Michigan at a furniture upholstery store. Wink, wink. But I think we are making a mistake. 3% of U.S. trade. So this is the vice president pushing back on administration at his boss's directive to go after the Houthis. Little inside baseball here, right? 3% of U.S. trade runs through the Suez Canal. 40% of European trade does. This is a real risk that the public doesn't understand this or why it's necessary. The strongest reason to do this is, as POTUS said, to send a message. But I am not sure the president is aware how inconsistent this is with his message on Europe right now. Oh no. The vice president saying, I don't think the president's aware. Basically what he means is like, listen, my boss is dumb as a fucking post. He's not going to understand this. He doesn't understand what water is. And we're going to try to explain this to him. Anywho, there's a further risk that we see a moderate to severe spike in oil prices. Okay? I'm willing to support the consensus of the team and keep these concerns to myself. I don't want to let the president know that I think he's dumb as a post. Anyway, but there's a strong argument for delaying this a month. Doing the messaging work on why this matters, seeing where the economy is, etc. Oh boy. Joe Kent. There was nothing time sensitive driving the timeline. We'll have the exact same options in a month. The Israelis will likely take strikes and therefore ask us for more support to replenish whatever they use against the Houthis. But that's a minor factor. I will send you the unclassified data. Acknowledging the fact that there is classified data. I will send you the unclassified data we pulled on BAM shipping. John Ratcliffe. From the CIA perspective, John Ratcliffe also testified in front of Congress saying that there was no classified information. That's interesting. Again, that statement from Joe Kent is the ballgame. I will send you the unclassified data we pulled on BAM shipping. From CIA perspective, we are mobilizing assets to support now, but a delay would not negatively impact us, and additional time would be used to identify better starting points for coverage on Houthi leadership. VP. From Pete Hegseth to the VP. I understand your concerns and fully support you raising with POTUS. Important considerations, most of which are tough to know how they play out. Economy, Ukraine peace, Gaza, etc. I think messaging is going to be tough no matter what. Nobody knows who the Houthis are, which is why we would need to stay focused on let's tell them Biden failed and 2, Iran funded. Remember what we heard from Caroline Levitt? That this was about, what about Biden? This was about the Biden administration. So this is part of their strategy. To attempt to justify that. Exactly. There's your spin. I told you, right? This is part of the spin machine. They're good at it. I will give them credit. Thank you, kitty. I had a kitty on my shoulder. Hey now. Sorry. Part of their strategy, right? We got to find somebody to blame. What about Biden? We have to find somebody to blame. And now, because they're caught red-handed, they are literally now using what they discussed. Part of their strategy was that if this goes bad, we're going to blame Biden. So now they're doing it because it went bad, but not from a mission perspective, from the fucking leak perspective, from the whiskey leaks perspective, right? Waiting a few weeks or months does not fundamentally change the calculus. Immediate risks, there are 2 immediate risks on waiting. 1, this leaks. 1, this leaks and we look indecisive. 2, Israel takes an action first or Gaza ceasefire falls it apart, which is already happening, as we know. And we don't get to start this on our own terms. We can manage both. This is all from Pete Hegseth. We are prepared to execute, and if I had final go or no-go vote, I believe we should go. This is not about the Houthis. Okay. I see it as 2 things. 1, restoring freedom of navigation, a core national interest, and reestablishing deterrence, which we'll say Biden cratered. But we can easily pause, and if we do, I will do all we can to enforce 100% OPSEC. I welcome other thoughts. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. Don't forget about the gifting goal, and don't forget about joining our team. And please subscribe to FactsStillMatter.site. If you enjoy this breakdown every day, that's the best way to support the channel. Thank you. Mike Waltz, the trade figures we have are 15% of global and 30% of container. It's difficult to break that down to U.S. specific because much of the container either going through the Red Sea still or around the Cape of Good Hope, bottom of Africa, are components going to Europe that turns into manufactured goods for transatlantic trade to the United States, which, by the way, we're going to tariff. Hey, you guys, we're going to tariff the shit. Cool? Awesome. Whether we pull the plug or not today, European navies do not have the capability to defend against the types of sophisticated anti-ship cruise missiles and drones the Houthis are now using. So, whether it's now or several weeks from now, it will have to be the U.S. that reopens these shipping lanes. Per the president's request, we are working with DOD and state to determine how to compile the cost associated and levy them on Europeans. Mike Waltz, again, the person who started this whole thing because he invited the reporter, right? As we stated in the first PC, we have a fundamental decision of allowing the sea lanes to remain closed or to reopen them now or later. We are the only ones with the capability, unfortunately. From a messaging standpoint, we absolutely add this to the ad. By the way, he put AD instead of ADD, like adding. Absolutely add this to of horribles on why the Europeans must invent in their defense. Again, that sentence is, from a messaging standpoint, we absolutely add this to of horribles on why the Europeans must invest more in their defense. Hold on, let me get rid of this. I'm not going to battle you. I'm sorry. It's too early for me to battle. It stresses me out too much. JD Vance, at Pete Hegseth. If you think we should do it, let's go. I just hate bailing out Europe again. Let's just make sure. Hold on, I'm going to sneeze. Guess not. Sorry. I hate bailing Europe out again. Just make sure our messaging is tight here, and if there are things we can do up front to minimize risk to Saudi oil facilities, we should do it. Hegseth, I fully share your loathing of European freeloading. It's pathetic. But Mike is correct. We are the only ones on the planet on our side who can do this. Nobody else even comes close. Question is timing. I feel like now is as good a time as any given POTUS directive to reopen shipping lanes. I think we should go, but POTUS still retains 24 hours of decision space. Stephen Miller, we haven't heard from him in a while, as he's too busy bubble, toiling and troubling and using eye of newt and hair of dog to create his recipe for world domination. As I heard it, the president was clear, green light, but as soon as we make clear to Egypt and Europe that what we expect in return, we also need to figure out how to enforce such a requirement. For example, if Europe doesn't remunerate, then what? If the U.S. successfully restores freedom of navigation at great cost, there needs to be some further economic gain extracted in return. To which Hegseth says, I agree. And then he goes into the text about the battle. I will say a prayer for victory at the end of that. Says J.D. Vance, Mike Waltz, VP Fielding collapsed, had multiple positive IDs. Pete Carilla, the IC, amazing job. J.D. Vance, again, distracted by something. Who knows? An Ottoman said, what? What Mike Waltz, J.D. Vance then responds, excellent. John Ratcliffe says, a good start. Mike Waltz uses a fist bump flag fire emoji. Good job to you and your team, says Marco Rubio. Great work all, Stephen Miller. CENTCOM was on point from Pete Hegseth. Susie Wiles, the chief of staff. Kudos to all, most particularly those in theater and CENTCOM. Really great job. God bless. Steve Witkoff. Steve Witkoff, by the way. Steve Witkoff is the guy handpicked by the Trump administration to negotiate peace between Russia and Ukraine. Steve Witkoff was in Russia when he got these messages. He was in the Kremlin. We know this because the flight records told us. He was in the Kremlin. And Russia's been trying for years. Jack Mehoff, exactly. Russia's been trying for years to hack Signal. Tulsi Gabbard, great work and effects. The Houthi PC Small Group is the name of the group that they created with a variety of names. So that's the story, right? That's the whole story, right? And I appreciate you guys let me take you through that, but I just think it's important because the messaging that they're going to tell us the math ain't mathin', as they say. So there's a little bit more sound, and I think it's just important that we sort of talk. We took you through Tulsi Gabbard's display. We took you through Pete Hegseth's display. This is what who else do I have here? This is, remember some of the old, so when you're trapped, when you're cornered, right? When you're stuck, you're going to go back to resort to things that you've used in the past. The entire right-wing echo chamber's message is to distract, is to tell their base and everybody who will listen, anybody who will listen, that it's not about the things that we've done. It's not about our fuck-ups. It's about everybody else. Okay? Case in point. This is what the twice impeached, four-time indicted sexually abusing fraudster convicted felon had to say about all this.
What's your response to Republican lawmakers who have said today that your administration should take more accountability and not downplay what's happened with Signal that we've seen in these messages today?
Well, I don't know about downplaying. The press upplays it.
The press upplays it. Okay.
I think it's all a witch hunt. That's all. I think it's a witch
hunt. It's a witch hunt. The witch hunt is back. I have missed the witch hunt. I have missed it. Gosh, I'm emotional. I'm feeling sentimental. I have missed the witch hunt so much.
Witch hunt. I wasn't involved with it. I wasn't there, but
I wasn't involved. It's not me. I didn't do it. I wasn't there. Got nothing to do with me. If there was a fuck up, I don't know. It wasn't me.
I can tell you the result is unbelievable because the Houthis are looking to do something. They want to know, how do we stop? Can we have peace? The Houthis want peace.
What?
Because they're getting the hell knocked out of them. It's been very, very strong. The Houthis are dying for peace.
Are they?
They don't want this.
Really?
And they're bad. Look, they were knocking ships out of the ocean. You know, we had in the Suez Canal, they only have about 20% of the ships going through. They have to go through a different way, which takes weeks of travel. And that really affects commerce. But the Houthis have been hit hard, and they want to negotiate peace. But I don't think they're quite.
Do they?
Classified that was shared?
Say it?
Do you still believe nothing classified was shared?
Well, that's what I've heard. I don't know. I'm not sure. You'll have to ask the various people involved. I really don't know.
Oh, I'm not sure. You're going to have to ask the various people involved. See, this is, again, we've all been studying this guy for a long time, perhaps me more than many others, that's on me, and that's not a good sign. But there are little things that you pick up on when he talks, right? Like, I wasn't there. It's got nothing to do with me. I don't know. I mean, this is what they told me. You're going to have to ask them, right? Commander-in-Chief, ladies and gentlemen.
I can only tell you this. You know, you don't want to talk about it. The Houthis have been horrible to the world. What they've done, killed a lot of people and knocked down a lot of ships and planes and anything else. You know, it's not just the ships. And they have been hit harder than they've ever been hit. And they want us to stop so badly. And they've got to stop. They've got to say no mas. But I can only say that the attacks, it's attacks every day, every night. It's not just the one. You're talking about one. Attacks have been.
Yeah, we know every day and every night because your fucking Department of Defense told us so, my guy.
Very successful, even beyond our wildest expectations. We've hit them very hard, very successfully, and we're going to do it for a long time. We're going to keep it going for a long time.
Senate Republicans have said that they have formally asked the administration for an Inspector General report on the Signal issue. Will you agree to that?
It doesn't bother me. I don't know. You know, I want to find if there's any mistake or if Signal doesn't work. It could be that Signal is not very good. You know, it's a company. Maybe it's not very good. I think we'd rather know about it now. There was no harm done because the attack was unbelievably successful that night, and it has been unbelievably successful every single night for the last 4 or 5 nights. So,
And you're responsible.
and that's the thing that you should be talking about. This is something that should have been done by sleepy Joe Biden, but he was asleep at the wheel, other than when it came to stealing money, of course.
Yep.
Joe Biden should have done this attack on
Okay.
Yemen, which is basically a certain group within Yemen,
Uh-huh.
the Houthis.
Mm-hmm.
And this should have been done by Joe Biden, and it wasn't. And that's caused this world a lot of damage and a lot of problems.
He's responsible, but he's also overseeing the investigation to find out what went wrong. Maybe
Who's responsible?
Mike Waltz says that he's responsible.
Well, yeah, Mike Waltz, I guess he said he claimed responsibility, I would imagine. Had nothing to do with anyone else. It was Mike, I guess. I don't know. I was told it was Mike. But again, the attacks were...
Bus Mike Walls.
Unbelievably successful, and that's ultimately what you should be talking about, I think. No, Mike did. He took responsibility for it.
Did he?
His position over this.
Say it.
Should Secretary Hegseth consider his position over the signal?
Hegseth is doing a great job. He had nothing to do with it.
I'm sorry. The Secretary of the Department of Defense had nothing to do with the Department of Defense initiatives? Holy fuck, dude.
Hegseth. How do you bring Hegseth into it? He had nothing to do. Look, it's all a witch hunt. Here we are talking about some of the greatest business deals ever made. The greatest companies in the world are moving into the United States, and you want to ask about whether or not Signal works. I don't know that Signal works. I think Signal could be defective, to be honest with you. And I think that's what we have to, because you use Signal, and we use Signal, and everybody uses Signal, but it could be a defective platform, and we're going to have to find that out.
Oh my God. I forgot about that. I listened to that clip yesterday and I forgot all about that part. Holy hell. What? What? Again, Bus, Mike Walls, Hegseth had nothing to do with it. What are you bringing him in for? He had nothing to do with it. He was at happy hour. Why are we blaming him? What? What? Oh my God. What? Okay. Listen, I don't even really know what to fucking say about any of that shit, but we've got more. Don't worry. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. We appreciate you very, very much. And again, we know you have many choices to make every morning, and we're always so grateful that you choose to spend some time with us. Danny, it looks like you're not able to request friend if you want to. Oh, thank you. I haven't had enough coffee yet today. Appreciate you. Danny, please request again, friend, because it does not look like you're connecting. I would love to bring you back up. Okay, here's Heather. It's I mean, again, they're just playing in our face. So it's one of two things. Either the twice impeached, 4-time indicted, sexually abusing fraudster convicted felon has no fucking clue as to what's happening. It's that. Hi, Heather.
Good morning. Steve, I just have one thing to say to you. What about Biden?
What about Biden? What about Biden?
What about Biden?
What about
Also,
Biden?
I shared many classified information with my dogs. My dogs know all.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
me too. I just walked across the street yesterday and just started yelling about classified information. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
That's
Yep.
lovely. Appreciate that.
Yep.
Yeah.
What about
That's nice.
Biden?
What about Biden?
What about him?
Like a rumor.
What did he do? Hillary's emails.
Hillary's emails. Russia, witch hunt. What about Biden?
That was it. That's all I got. That's all
I
I got.
appreciate you. I love you. Have a good day. See you later.
You too. Love you too.
Bye. I mean, come on. I mean, can we just it's just, what about Biden? Everybody say it with me. What about Biden? I don't know. I mean, Joe's out going to, formal events with Jill, and, they're just hanging out. They're just living their life. He's tottering around on Rehoboth Beach with his Velcro shoes, and his Sansa shorts and his, and his flip up, the clip on sunglasses that older people wear, right? He's just doing his thing. And what about Biden? It's crazy. It's just nuts. I'm like, it just blows me away that they're so desperate that they're gonna have to go, what about Biden? Hi, Dee. How are you?
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Have you shared any classified information today?
No, but I will admit I was the second gunman on the grassy knoll.
Oh, right. I created, it used to be Area 50. I created Area 51.
Oh, I just had a really quick question. Why was Pete Hegseth not at that hearing? And will he appear at that hearing at all?
It's a very good question. He was in Hawaii, doing God's work out there in Hawaii, right? So he was at Pearl Harbor talking to the troops, which is something that the Department, the Secretary of Defense does. But the question is he going to show up to testify? I don't know. I want to remind, you just got me thinking about something. I want to remind folks, I've talked about this before. Fridays in the political world is take out the trash Fridays. Oftentimes what they do is that there's a story that they don't want to get attention from the media. They will release it late into the day on Friday, even Friday evening. So everybody be paying attention to that. It's not part of the conversation we're just having. I just don't want people to forget because we'll be watching the headlines tomorrow morning. Sorry, Dee. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. No. That's perfectly okay. I love watching your show. I missed you when you were sick. I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
And glad you're feeling better.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wondered that, is he going to be, he is the one that did all of this. What is I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand the hypocrisy. Everything that Trump, and I can barely even listen to him, says is, a confession.
Pretty much.
Oh, yeah. God.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And I hope that we win those 2 seats in Florida.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. I think you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, again, I'm glad you brought it up because it's the gaslight. We talk about this all the time. I wanted to do an entire show dedicated to gaslighting, but I don't even have to because the content just shows itself, and I don't have to do any work. It's literally just that is the ultimate gaslight. I mean, the president's sitting there throwing his national security advisor under the bus, basically saying, "Why are you bringing Pete into this? Pete didn't do anything wrong. Pete was at happy hour. I don't know what the issue is." So,
right.
Yeah, but
I have a feeling Pete's been knee deep in his whiskey and gin since this, and even before it happened.
Yeah, potentially there seems to be some issues there that seem to be that still exist. But we'll keep our eyes on it. But thanks for jumping in today, Dee. I appreciate it very
thanks.
much.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too. See you later. Yeah. So I mean, I don't even know. I don't even know what to say. I mean, we make fun of it because it's easy to make fun of, but the reality of what it is that we are seeing is just this unbelievable method of spin. Let's be objective. They're good at it, right? They're good at it. They need to leave the president out of it because he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. But Caroline Leavitt is out there doing her job. That is the job of the press secretary. I've also noticed a couple of other things. I'm not sure if this is just coincidental, but this is just something I've noticed. When she's at the dais in the press room, when she is talking to the press, doing her briefings, and she's talking about policy, and she's introducing executive orders that the president is signing, she has her cross necklace on. And I've noticed recently that when she does interviews like on Fox, just recently in that Jesse Waters interview, when she's just lying at every single turn, she's not wearing it. I don't know if that's a tell. I don't know if that's a conspiracy theory that I've just sort of, popped into my brain. But I've noticed that recently. Just something to keep an eye on, right? Because early on, she used to kind of do this like little reference to it where she would sort of like, it burns her. It's like the Monty Python. She's a witch, ban her, right? So, yeah, because it burns, right? So Have you noticed that? So other people have noticed that. I'm not sure if that's just a coincidence, but not every time. So it's just something to keep our eyes on as we kind of, move through this hellscape that we are in every single day. All right, we'll bring up Forrest, then I'll bring up a couple of other topics here, and we can continue to have this conversation today because it is Antifa Friday. Forrest, how are you today?
I'm good.
What's on your mind?
Can I make a little bit of a pivot? I've some news about Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm actually going to bring that up. Are you talking? Yeah, are you talking
about the
about
72 hours of immigration?
I was thinking about the. I have something else on the South, but sure, go ahead. What do you got?
They're passing a bill. Well, it's passing through the House and the Senate right now. That illegal immigrants have 72 hours to leave the state.
What?
Yeah, it moved through the House, out of committee. That illegal immigrants will have 72 hours to leave the state.
So what I'm seeing, if this is it, so Key Tennessee House Committee on Wednesday approved a bill that would allow schools to block undocumented children from enrollment. Is that what you're talking about?
Nope.
Okay.
It's a different one.
Okay, so Key Tennessee Committee passes bill that could bar undocumented kids from schools. That's
yep, I heard that one too.
Okay, so what else do we have? That's committee passes bill allowing Tennessee schools to refuse enrollment. Let's see. All right, here we go. So critics slam Tennessee bill. My gosh, it is Antifa Friday. Critics slam Tennessee bill that would give undocumented immigrants charged with a crime. That's an important distinction. 72 hours to leave the state. Incredibly inhumane, it's called. A bill advancing in Tennessee seeks to make it a crime for any individual without legal immigration status to be present in the state, a bill advancing in Tennessee seeks to make it a crime for any individual without legal immigration status to be present in the state, sparking significant opposition from immigration rights groups. The measure would impose jail time and require eviction from Tennessee for those found to be in the state unlawfully. Additionally, judges would be mandated to issue a 72-hour warning for individuals charged with the offense to leave the state. While the first violation would be classified as a misdemeanor, repeat offenses could escalate to a felony. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. And this would be another example of how people are going to profile individuals. More examples of how due process rights will be violated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's horrible. Thanks for bringing that to our attention, Forrest. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and coming from California, which has a significant like immigrant population, like it just astonishes me that it's such a push here where I guess in my eyes I don't see a lot of it here.
Yeah, these are the, I like I said, I appreciate you bringing this to our attention. We have to continue to talk about it, but thanks again for being here. You have a good day. Okay. Thanks, Forrest.
Thank you.
It goes a little deeper into this story, and I've got a story about Arkansas because it's like, listen, in Tennessee, look at us, we're fascists. Arkansas is like, hold my beer. So this is Representative Lee Rivers, the bill's sponsors, described it as a quote measured, responsible step towards protecting Tennessee communities and reducing illegal immigration, as reported by the Tennessee Outlook. Reeves emphasized that the legislation would enforce the rule of law and deter unlawful entry into the state. Unlawful entry into the state. So is there going to be like barbed wire and chains around Dollywood now? Like unlawful entry into the state? Yeah, not only does it violate habeas corpus, it violates everything. Wait, unlawful entry into the state? How the fuck does that even work? So, Victoria, if you're listening, apparently we can't come visit. So, I don't know. I guess I don't know. What would be lawful? What would be unlawful? You have to prove citizenship? You know? I could put on a fake, Australian accent. Oi, crikey, where's the Barbie? Fuck. Advocates for immigrant rights have sharply criticized the bill, arguing it is harmful and unjust. Judith Clairjoun, the advocacy director for the Tennessee Immigrant and Refugee Rights Coalition, called it, quote, incredibly inhumane, yeah, no shit, and claimed it would unjustly target individuals who have lived peacefully in the state for years, contributing to their communities. It takes people who've been living here peacefully and contributing to their communities, sometimes for decades, and puts a target on their back based on who they are. The bill is designed as a trigger law, meaning it will only take effect if specific conditions are met. It would go into effect if the Supreme Court overturns its decision in Arizona versus United States 2012, which ruled that Arizona could not create state-specific immigrant crimes. And that I was wondering if they were going to go there. Alternatively, the law could become active if a U.S. constitutional amendment is passed, granting states the authority to regulate immigration or if similar laws in other states survive for 60 days. Tennessee lawmakers also introduced House Bill 811, co-sponsored by the Republican State Senator Brent Taylor and State Rep Rusty Grills on Wednesday as part of efforts to deter organizations from knowingly housing undocumented immigrants. The bill would allow victims of crimes committed by immigrants to sue charities that provided them with housing, making organizations financially and legally accountable for any harm caused. Holy fuck. What the absolute F? I'm going to bring up Moth real quick. It's the 9 o'clock pee break. Good morning, friend. I'll be right back.
Good morning, Steve, as you run away. And good morning, everybody in chat. I hope you're all having a good morning. Hi, Jen. Yeah, I'm sitting here at my other liberal job, handing out medications because that's what I do. So while I'm doing that, I would just like to remind everybody to keep tapping the screen, sharing the live. We're at 101K for those likes. Let's go ahead and get up to. I would love to see us up to 150 if we could. Obviously, I would love to see it even higher than that, but let's shoot for 150. I'm gonna push you guys to see what we can do. Make sure you're hitting that gifting goal, and if you head over to FactsStillMatter.site, you can subscribe there. We suggest going to subscribe there as opposed to through TikTok because we don't know what's going to happen with TikTok. If you go to the FactsStillMatter.site, it's $3 a month to subscribe. For an annual subscription. With subscribing, you get perks like a discount in the merch store. You get access to sub-only events. Don't forget that if you are a sub or if you become a sub, which you should, because you don't want to miss out on our Cards Against Humanity that we're going to do for all subs at the end of the month. It's going to be a really, really fun time. Steve and us mods tried it out a few nights ago. It was a really good time. You learn a lot about your friends, especially the quiet ones. Good things, I think. I mean, I know we're all kind of going through a thing right now where we're learning stuff about people that we wish we didn't know, but this is in a fun way. This is in a fun, lighthearted way, not in a serious, sad way.
Yeah, we might have to reschedule the date for the Cards Against Humanity thing just because we haven't gotten a lot of people anybody sign up yet, but we'll keep people informed of that. But still, become a subscriber so you can participate in all the fun, chaos, and madness.
Yeah, we want to get more people involved in that because the more the merrier, especially with that game. But how are you today, Steve?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
Processing.
Agreed. Yes, processing. Thank you for that, Moth, for jumping in. I really, really appreciate you, friend.
Before I go, I have to ask you one other question that
yes.
I feel like I'm legally obligated to ask you at this point.
Yes, of course. Proceed. What is your question?
Steve, are you feeling zen today?
Moth, I am fucking zen. Thank you for asking. I appreciate you. I love you too. See you later.
Bye.
Okay. Yes, subscribe. If you subscribe and join our Discord, you do not have to be a subscriber to join our Discord. Our Discord is free. Just go through the steps to get verified, things like that. Once you're in our Discord, then it's like access to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, because there's so much fun and stuff in there. Fun stuff in there. And then you can find out more about our various events, numerous information about all kinds of things, show resources, all that kind of stuff. Let me just check real quick a couple of things, take care of some housekeeping. Thank you to, let's see. Thank you to Jill and to Low Germany for your subscriptions. I really appreciate you guys. Become a member of our team. Also, want to shout out to Carol for your contribution on Cash App. Carol, thank you so much. Thank you for being a safe space, Steve. I appreciate that. And Marnie, thank you very much for your contribution. I appreciate you as well. Marnie says, thank you for the misogyny convo yesterday. Yes, I appreciate you saying that. And also over on Venmo, thank you to Angela for your contribution on Venmo. I really appreciate that. Thank you for all that you do in an effort to try to find your safe space. I appreciate you saying that. Yes, Angie, you can join our Discord. Just follow the link. The link is in the link tree that's in my bio. Also, if it's not working for you for some reason, you can reach out to any of the mods on our team, whether it be Moth or Eve or Amy Dawn or a variety of people that are on our team. That's where the magic happens, so to speak. I see AD there. All right, so much more to get to. I do want to address a couple of those ridiculous laws in Tennessee and Arkansas. We'll get into those in just a second. Good morning, friend. How are you today?
Good morning. I don't know if I can keep up with the gaslighting.
Right, crazy, right?
That's just kind of what I wanted to overall float. It's like, and let me just encourage everyone, if you haven't read the screenshots of the chat, right? And then I would love for somebody to do a video about KKK with the audio from KKK Caroline over the things that objectively tell us the absolute opposite of what she's coming out of her mouth, right? Like
it's a good idea. Like I tried to do the side by side today when they claimed that none of these things happened, and then I literally read from the text. Yeah,
right.
No, I agree. It's a good idea.
I mean, it's like we are in a collective abusive relationship with all this, right?
Somebody just said this. Tootle, you're right. SNL tomorrow night. Everybody tune in. I would imagine it's going to be very interesting tomorrow night on Saturday Night Live.
Good gravy. Yes, it might be the best one ever yet. And anymore I look to SNL to be the political commentary for the whole country, because we got to laugh so we don't cry.
Always has been, right?
Right. Even more so now than ever. And I think, again, we always talk about watch for the psyop, right? I mean, it's beyond a psyop at this point. And I was thinking about it just from my lens as a therapist. Like, this is what collectively as a country, I think the overwhelm that we get from the gaslighting. Why do we do the gaslighting? Why is the gaslighting the weapon? Well, because eventually that gaslighting makes you feel crazy. Right? Like do you know we can see you, KKK Caroline? Like, what? Wait, what? And you start questioning your own reality. How is this happening? That human beings are fixing their brain this way? Because I've heard it. I accidentally got into some MAGA lives. I don't know how that happened, but I did, and I felt like I needed.
Did you get invited in through Signal?
That might have been somebody accidentally put me there. Clearly,
right. Yes, exactly.
Do people don't know how things work, or do they think people don't? Do they think that? But then I say that. But then I hear people repeat these talking points, and I'm like, no, they really don't know how things work. And so that's why they say it, because they know. Literally in the chat, they're talking about how they have to message. Like, they're talking about how they gaslight in the chat.
I know. I want to see if I can find that breakdown. Mods, if you guys can find it before I can, then that person who did that amazing, the dumbass You guys know what I'm talking about how somebody got added to, added to. I'm sure it's it's probably in the Discord somewhere, but just I'm going to use this opportunity to just remind everybody about how I know everybody talks about how they have the best mods on TikTok. Listen. I'll fight y'all because we have the best fucking mods there is in existence. Mods, when you look up mods in the dictionary, you're going to see our mod team.
Epic level.
Fight
Olympic level.
Yes, because my so much so that when I have these, and AD knows this, I have these ping pong ball ideas that bounce around in my brain. Oftentimes, they're 2 steps ahead of me.
Literally.
So that goes to show you. So anyway, shout out to mods everywhere. So if anybody has that, you guys know what I'm talking about. If anybody could put that in the Discord so easily so I could find it.
The example of how you create a group chat on Signal.
Yes, exactly.
If you should so happen to need to talk about couch lube, yes.
Right. No, I'm not an Aquarius. I am a Virgo. Yes. Anywho.
So much. I don't even know any. I find myself thinking I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Are we not seeing what we're seeing? And so I am encouraged by the.
See what I mean? They're already on it.
I knew they would be.
All right.
Encouraged. Go ahead, read this.
So this is I do not know who this person is, but I'm going to give her props. Her name is Amanda Gailey, and she posted this. I went through this a couple days ago. If you're not here, it's just fucking hilarious, and I just think it's so right. So just here we go. As someone who uses Signal every day, I need to explain how totally committed to being an absolute dumbass multiple people had to be in order for this security leak to happen. Okay, so if in Signal you want to talk to multiple people, you have to create a group and give it a name. For example, JD Vance humps his couch. You then add people from your contacts to the group. If you are a computer user of Signal, you can then restrict the if you are a competent user of Signal, you can then restrict the permissions so that only designated admins can add people. If you are an absolute dipshit whose only job qualification is owning the libs on Twitter, you would create a group about war plans and not know about or activate this functionality. If you are in a group and are allowed to add members either because you are an admin or because the admin was raised on lead paint milkshakes, you then must do the following to add someone. Click on JD Vance humps his couch, scroll down to add members, select one or more people from your phone's contact list, click update, confirm that yes, I want to add that member. This is impossible to do accidentally.
Impossible.
Then, once you've gone through the multi-step process of adding a member, an announcement appears on the screen for literally everyone in the group to see. JD Vance has added Cherry to the group. This sentence is a line in a single stream text thread, and if anyone is reading their messages, they cannot miss it. If they are not reading their messages, one might wonder why they have been included on the chat to begin with. Yeah, there's that. Okay, part 2, it continues. At this point, anyone can say in the chat or privately, "Hey, JD, why are you adding the bedroom-eyed plush chair from Pee-wee's Playhouse to our chat about your upholstery problem?" Yet nobody in the War Bro chat said a thing about the new member added to the group. One other thing. Signal is supposedly a secure chat platform, but it is only as secure as whatever else people are doing on their phones. For example, if you send someone a Signal message asking about how to best protect your sensitive man parts against the sharp springs inside the voluptuous crack of your lazy boy, you will see later ads in your browser for a lazy boy lube because your browser is spying on the things you do on your own phone, even if the tech bros say they are not. Not king shaming, just saying. So, even if the War Bro chat were not full of hires from an affirmative action program for white fascist sycophants who graduated in the top 99% of their class, and they actually practice basic common sense and literacy in maintaining their war bro chat, it would still be an insecure way of discussing matters of national security. Mic drop.
I mean, can we just Occam's razor this for a minute? We know how things work, right? The screenshot's there. Dude he added him to the chat, and then he manually set it to disappear in 4 weeks. Why else? Wait, like why?
Yeah.
There's
That's the whole point. That's the reason that we have
Right.
Signal.
And I don't.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Did you hear the court, the judge ordering those records be preserved? You hear about that? Yeah. So why are we having to order that? Like the literal observation of the law that already exists that those records need to be preserved had to be ordered by a judge that they be preserved.
That's correct. And I want to remind people of a couple of things because this relates to Signal. So hold on, let me do this.
Excuse me. Congressman Scott Perry is a tremendous representative for the great people of Pennsylvania's 10th Congressional District. A retired Army Brigadier General, Scott is a MAGA warrior who always puts America first. Scott is working tirelessly with me to secure the border, stop migrant crime, grow our economy, strengthen our military and veterans, uphold the rule of law, protect our always under siege Second Amendment, and restore peace through strength. An original member of my Pennsylvania federal leadership team, Scott Perry has my complete and total endorsement for re-election. He will never let you down. MAGA 2025.
So I play that for you. I share that story with you because Scott Perry, in case you forgot, because the right wing will not cover this, was caught up in the January 6th fiasco because he was sharing communications with members of the Proud Boys and others on guess what, AD?
I'm going to go ahead and guess it's a public app that you can download.
Called Signal.
Imagine that.
In an attempt to not have the information be archived or stored, and he was blaming, again, the witch hunt for people taking his phone. And now Scott Perry gets the full endorsement of the twice impeached, four-time indicted, sexually abusing fraudster convicted felon.
Yeah. It's in the playbook to use Signal. It's in the Project 2025 playbook.
Yep.
But people don't know that. Like,
it is interesting, for sure. It is interesting, right? Obviously, but nothing to see here. Nothing to see here, right? Nothing at all to see here.
And you know what I think he hates the most is that he looks like a big doofus. I don't know. Who is running the country then, dude? Clearly it's not you. Clearly it's not you.
I think it's the deep state, AD. You know who's running the country? What about Biden?
What about Biden? I'm sure.
What about Biden?
It's Biden and Hillary via Hunter's laptop. That's how it's happening.
That's right. All right, I have another little story some sound for you guys. You're going to hear from author and former Vanity Fair editor Graydon Carter. This is an interview that he did recently with Anderson Cooper, and I think the sound just sort of speaks for itself. So,
the president has been unhappy with you for about 40 years.
Yes, I was an early Canadian that he was angry with. Now he's angry with the entire country. 40 years.
You did a profile of him before Vanity Fair,
yes.
Which you write about in the book.
Before Spy, actually.
Before Spy,
yes.
Spy magazine, which was a whole other brilliant thing that you did. And you commented on his hands.
Well, I spent 3 weeks with him. It was his first national exposure, and so he let me hang around with him. And I wrote that his cufflinks were too large and his hands were too small, and that drove him crazy. And then when we went to Spy, we had sort of funny epithets for people. And he was always a short-fingered vulgarian. Short-fingered vulgarian, which slightly drove him crazy over the years.
Yes. So. And yet, the hand thing, which ended up being in part of the presidential debate, he actually, before I think he was running for president, he actually has not forgotten that and sent you a note with a photograph. Didn't he?
We tried to be friends for a period, and that didn't work out. And on probably the summer before he announced, he sent me a note with a 20-year-old, 25-year-old ad for the Art of the Deal, and has a photograph of him, and he circles his hand and in gold Sharpie says, "See, quite large." And then I stapled a card to it and sent it and said, "Actually quite small," and had it hand delivered right back to
You
his
did
office.
not.
I did.
Jesus, I can't.
It just listen. Any dude that talks about the size of their wrench has a tiny wrench.
If you feel like you need to defend it, it must be tickling your tummy in some way.
Isn't that fucking brilliant? So, in case you didn't
Chef's
catch the end,
kiss.
Trump took a signed copy of the Art of the Deal and with a gold marker drew around his hand and sent it to the reporter and said, "See very big," to which the reporters responded, "No, very small."
Very small. Very small. I'm tickled that it was a gold Sharpie and not a black. He normally uses a black Sharpie to create his own story. So
yeah. And this kind of, so this personally, I think the whole situation with the PP tape, everybody remember that going back to the early days of the first Trump administration, when there was this story about how there's a PP tape that one of his many trips to Moscow, Trump was entertained by Russian Schmex workers, and the whole story about how there's this PP tape, right? And he's never, of course, he's just denied it, doesn't exist. My personal thoughts is that he doesn't want that tape to go public because people will then know the size of his wrench.
God.
And we know that Stormy Daniels talked about it in not so flattering terms.
Well, blessed E. Jean Carroll, really, like,
Correct.
I didn't know because I couldn't tell. Because, yeah.
Correct.
Not to, I mean, it's all so gross that I don't even like giving that example because what he did was great, but.
I hear you.
But, you know?
Yep, absolutely.
It's just icky that it's just icky.
Icky's a good way to describe it. That is a good way to describe it. As a programming note, folks, there's no FAD tonight because we're doing our every other week schedule. And we went back to back 2 weeks to maintain our schedule. There's no FAD tonight, so we'll be
MBW will be live though.
I was just going to say that, but MBW
sorry.
will be
Same
live.
brain.
Yeah, it's okay. No, it's all good. MBW will be live this evening, so we'll remind folks of that. Okay, so we discussed this story earlier about the eggs situation. So just as a refresher, let me see if I can find that story again here.
Yeah. That's wild. And I mean, just overall, authoritarian government, this is what happens when we do all the things to drop all the regulations that keep us safe because people think government's big, bad, and evil, right? No, there's actually a lot about government that works for us that kind of happens in the background, like, keeping our food supply relatively safe, right? We already have some issues with what we put in our food in this country.
Right.
And now let's just take that down another notch.
Yeah, so the story is because the Trump administration is doing, everything possible they can to try to lower egg prices since they're up 50% in many cases. I think national averages, they're up about 48%. And we've seen people like the older millennial who is an idiot, let's be real, trying to make claims. And of course, his mouth-breathing, smooth-brained, troglodyte fans and supporters are buying into it, saying the gas prices are the low, or egg prices are at the lowest they've been in months. Well, that's not true. So again, as a reminder, the gaslight, we're not going to let them do it. So the story from the White House is that they're attempting to buy more eggs from Korea, from Brazil, and from Turkey. That's ironic. Based on the fact that, but those eggs are not for everyday consumption. Those eggs are used to make things. They're not necessarily part of your omelet.
Right.
And because of the new regime under RFK, they are removing people who would protect the American citizens from such things as bad eggs, right? So that's part of that story. And then all these cuts that are happening in the RFK administration, well, this kind of tells you a little bit about it. It's like, what do his health cuts mean for you?
The Department of Health and Human Services, what he's calling a transformation to make America healthy again. As part of this, they are firing 10,000 federal health workers, on top of another 10,000 they say already left voluntarily. Altogether, that will reduce the size of HHS by about a quarter. So what does this mean for your health? Well, this includes cuts of 3,500 workers at FDA, 2,400 at CDC, 1,200 at the NIH, and 300 at CMS. Now, public health experts are telling us there is no way that cuts of this magnitude won't affect government health services, but exactly where those are, we're still trying to dig into to figure out where these cuts are going to be. Now, here's what they say won't be affected. Medicare and Medicaid services at CMS, at FDA, reviewers of drugs, medical devices, and food, as well as inspectors. And at CDC, they say that they're returning to the core mission of focusing on epidemics and outbreaks. They also say they're creating a new agency
called the Administration for a Healthy America, or AHA.
Sounds a lot like MAHA. Now, we're still digging.
Wait, we're trying to reduce the size of government, so we're creating new government agencies. Got it.
Into what this new agency is going to do, but Kennedy says overall the priority is focusing on safe, wholesome food, clean water, and the elimination of environmental toxins, which all sounds great. But his past embrace of anti-vaccine views has people in the public health world on guard about whether these changes will rest on sound science.
I don't know if you heard. Let me just give some actual truth. You know, this measles outbreak that's happening in Texas.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
They just pulled the federal funding that Lubbock is getting to vaccinate children. So that tracks, right? Like,
that totally tracks.
Why not do that in the middle of a measles outbreak? Sure. Like, what
makes sense?
The hell?
Yep, that makes total sense.
And these children, these parents, not only that, but it's bad enough that they did that. But then you've got this complete idiot messaging about vitamin A. So much so that you have to have actual doctors out there saying, oh, hey, parents, yeah, that's not a thing. Please vaccinate your kids. Like, please do that because the vitamin A thing isn't a thing.
And kids are like, there's liver
Going
damage
to
being caused by kids.
hospitals.
Yeah, taking
liver
too much.
damage.
Yep.
We do not have a lack of vitamin A overall as a population. That's just like science. Where is the... I can't. I can't. We've abandoned all things that keep us healthy and safe now.
Yeah, we've abandoned any sort of common sense too, obviously. But again, that's been one of the big pushes from the administration of the twice impeached, four-time indicted, sexually abusing, fraudulent, convicted felons, that the organization and the administration is all about common sense. Say it with me, everybody. Common sense.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what I expected when we were talking about using bleach in our veins. I mean, that should have been the tell. Like, what?
Yeah.
Ivermectin's the cure. There we go. Like, what?
I know. I also want to talk. We talked about this horrible, ridiculous, just dangerous law that Tennessee wants to pass. Well, Arkansas did not want to be outdone. So Arkansas bill targets gender non-conforming haircuts
right,
for children.
I saw that.
So Republican politicians in the state of Arkansas are proposing a ban on haircuts deemed gender non-conforming for children. This initiative is part of the so-called Vulnerable Youth Protection Act. If enacted, hairdressers could face criminal charges for styling a minor's hair in a way that does not align with traditional gender norms. Newsweek reports that these Republican politicians are looking to introduce legislation called the Vulnerable Youth Protection Act. Under this proposed law, individuals involved in the, quote, social transitioning of a minor could face criminal penalties. According to the contentious bill, transition refers to actions that adopt a gender identity different from their biological sex, including changes in clothing, pronouns, hairstyles, and names. This includes clothing and hairstyles that do not conform to traditional gender stereotypes. Have you seen rock bands from the 70s and 80s? I'm just saying. Let's see. Journalists highlight that the bill would prohibit barbers from giving girls haircuts, often referred to as tomboy styles. Furthermore, a store owner who sells a bra to a teenager could potentially face criminal charges. While Republicans hold 80% of the seats in Arkansas, it is uncertain whether this bill will pass due to the controversy it has stirred, even in a state often seen as politically conservative. The bill was submitted to the state parliament by Mary Bentley, an anti-abortion activist and entrepreneur. She argues that the bill is, quote, about protecting children from being pushed into gender ideology. We need to ensure that kids are not being coerced into decisions they do not understand. During the first reading, the bill faced criticism from Evelyn Rios Stafford, the only transgender person in a prominent position within Arkansas. She believes that the bill is absurd and suggests that even compliments on hairstyles could be penalized under its provisions. Lawyers have raised concerns that the bill might infringe on the constitutional rights to freedom of speech. In response to the backlash, Mary Bentley has temporarily withdrawn the proposal to make amendments.
I would just like to point out discrimination based on your hair and your name. I'm pretty sure the BIPOC community could speak a little bit about that, right? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, the Crown Act. Just the fact that people's names are what
Interesting
they
that
are.
somebody just said, Goob said Carrie Lake can no longer go to Arkansas.
Oh, sure, she sure can't.
Any woman with short hair, you're not allowed in
Better
Arkansas.
start growing that little tuft out there, Miss Carrie.
And I was when I was in 11th grade, I had hair down to the middle of my back, and I used to ride my motorcycle to school. I thought I was the shit. But
I mean, somebody wrote in the comments,
idiot.
white Jesus had long hair. What the heck? You know?
Yep. So, I mean, it's things like that. This is why we do Antifa Friday, because like I said, it's my intention with this whole thing was to identify a fascist, but there's just too many. There's too many. Again, Kristen, I'm glad you said that. So this is a bit of a personal note. When my daughter lost her hair going through chemo and radiation, we got her a variety of wigs. She had long, beautiful golden curls prior to her losing her hair, and we got her a short-haired wig because she wanted to try something with short hair. She didn't like it. She just decided to go bald, but that was part of the conversations that we had. One was pink, one was spiked hair, right? So apparently she would not have been able to go to Arkansas.
Yeah, it's all about the othering, though, right? It's all about the othering of marginalized groups to maintain the power over, right? Correct. And the othering and the base, the people who are, whose broken brains are part of the cult, who don't have critical thinking skills, that can't actually walk these things out like you just did. The same thing has happened with women's health care.
Yep.
Like that policy, walk that policy out. It feels good in your feels if you identify with some things about that, but then walk out the application of that. Exactly. And you'll see the utter discrimination and othering about it.
Correct. Hey, Fish, how are you this morning?
Hey, folks, how's my background noise today?
It's a little rough, but we can navigate. I can barely hear you though.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, that's better. What do you got?
Okay, so yesterday, Trump cut 2 different vaccination programs. One for that was going through USAID. I believe the acronym was GIVA. I forget which one it was called. Okay, so that we were funding 13% of that program. That's going to cause children in other countries to unalive. It's absolutely disgusting. But it's easy for Republicans and MAGA to say, well, it's not our country, America first. Well, he also just cut $12 billion, I believe, worth of state funding for vaccinations, as well as substance abuse treatment and rehabs. Which, if you want to say that it's not going to affect us and none of this stuff is affecting us, well, there you go. It's starting to affect us already.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's tough to hear you, Fish, but I appreciate that, bro. Thanks for being here today, man. I appreciate you as always.
Of course they got to cut the funding. They need to divert it to build all the camps that they're going to put people in who use SSRIs and whatever on, houseless and, put them in camps. I mean, all the things. I don't even.
Yep.
I get confused at their fascist plans sometimes. So
remember, everything. There's the method. If there's anything that you've ever learned from watching us, every morning from 8 to noon Eastern time, it's that we're always trying to remind you that there's something else afoot. There's something going on to distract you over here so that they can do something else. Now, the Signal Gate, obviously, Whiskey Leaks was unexpected, not in their plan. So perhaps threw them off kilter a bit. But when you're seeing things like we just heard from Fish, and you're defunding the CDC and the NIH and the FDA, and you want to bring in eggs, and you want to ignore measles outbreaks, and you want to tell parents to just give your kids more, vitamin A. This is all part of the nefarious activity that's happening behind the scenes. Then Arkansas legislators feeling empowered to introduce bills about fucking haircuts.
Because they know it'll
Arkansas,
work.
by the way, always in the very bottom of educational outcomes, graduation rates, teen pregnancy, maternal mortality, infant mortality, poverty, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm glad the legislature there is focused on the needs of the citizens by banning fucking haircuts.
Yeah, the whole education thing. Chris, I can't speak about that because Arizona's only moved up a slot because Oklahoma got dumber. So
yeah,
we're pretty low on the totem pole there. So
we often sit here and we talk about hope, right? So there's a couple of things that I want to mention that I think are interesting because, unexpectedly so. So there's reporting that, and I talked about this a little bit the other day, that Republican leadership at the RNC level is very concerned about these two special elections in Florida.
Yes, thank you. I forgot to mention that. Yes, you pulled out Elise Stefanik from.
I'll get there. Yeah, so he's very, very concerned about. Don't be jumping in. I got you.
Sorry.
That's okay. They're very, very concerned. Very, very concerned about those two races in Florida. So much so that you may have heard from someone that Elise Stefanik's nomination to become the UN ambassador was pulled recently. So she's going back to Congress to defend the seat that she has in upstate New York. I think that is a tell. I think that is a big tell that they are so concerned about these special elections, which, by the way, come up on April 1st. Josh Wheel, in particular, that race, because Republicans are growing very concerned about that race in particular. Top Republicans grew so concerned about the lackluster performance from their own GOP House candidate in an upcoming special election in Florida that Trump's team and members of the GOP leadership decided to personally intervene. A top advisor to Trump reached out directly to State Senator Randy Fine with a message that he needed to get his house in order and get on the airwaves. A White House source told CNN. Some Republican leaders were even more blunt. House GOP campaign chief Richard Hudson and House Majority Whip Tom Emmer each separately told Fine to get his shit together, according to two GOP sources working closely on the race. Now, weeks later, Republicans are bracing for a closer than expected result Tuesday in Florida's deep red 6th congressional district, where their nominee has been significantly outraised 4-1, by the way, and is at risk of failing far short of the president's November performance in the district. Reflecting that concern, Trump called into a pair of tele-rallies Thursday evening to give boost to Fine, in addition to the GOP candidate in Florida's 1st congressional district, Jimmy Petronis. He's running against Gay Vallimont, who we had on the show a few weeks ago.
Yes,
Gay is everywhere. So like I said before, we know this information. We know the RNC is running scared. We know that they're being out fundraised. So here's a question for you. DNC, where the fuck are you?
Right.
Where the fuck are you? Why are you not putting prominent Democratic candidates on fucking planes, flying them to fucking Florida, Pensacola, Central Florida, and having them campaign? Why are you not doing that, DNC? Why the fuck are you not doing that, DNC?
I need to get
Again, let me ask.
yeah.
Hey, DNC, where the fuck are you?
Say it again one more time.
DNC, where the fuck are you?
Because Elon's in Wisconsin. I want that energy in these
Yep.
races, right? In
Exactly.
that judge race.
Exactly. So we're just days away. Again, that special election, which then leads to the Elise Stefanik situation, because again, as it sits right now, there are 3 empty seats. Well, 2 empty seats now in Congress. Matt Gaetz' seats, and do you know whose seat?
Who the other one?
Do you know whose seat District 6 is in Florida? The seat we're just talking about.
Could it be a person who adds people to signal chats accidentally?
That's correct.
Could that be
Mike Waltz's old seat in Florida? Is the one
gosh,
we're
golly.
talking about, right? So if the Republicans lose those seats, then they literally have a 1-seat majority, which means that special election in New York, which would have been the seat that Elise Stefanik would have had to vacate to become ambassador, would be the whole ball game. So if you game that out, if the Republicans lost both seats, or I should say, I'll eliminate the negative, accentuate the positive. If the Democrats won both of those seats in Florida, then that seat in New York would mean, if the Democrats won, Hakeem Jeffries is the Speaker of the House and the Democrats hold the majority.
Yep.
So they see the math. So
and even in Trump's tweet, whatever, his truth that he put out about it, right? Like he tells on himself because, do the people know by how many points Elise Stefanik won that seat? Like that is a red district for him to pull her because he's worried because what happens if she gets confirmed, right? They have what's called an election, right?
Election.
They have another election. And so for him to think in a district where she won by, I don't know, like 30 some points, like 62% of the vote she won. And he's concerned of losing that seat. And the Florida seats also, like to your point, the red districts, right? They both won, and Frances would be able to speak to it better. She's in Florida. 20-ish points, I think, for both of them.
Exactly. I don't think that he's concerned about the Stefanik seat. I just think he wants to absolutely guarantee that even if they lose those 2 seats in Florida, that they're not going to lose that one.
I think he is concerned that they won't hold it, right? Like you obviously are scared that if you allow her to leave, that it will be taken over by someone who's not aligned with you.
A rural farmer potentially winning that seat.
Because that's how bad it is.
This is the post from, as Matt calls it, Timu Twitter. As we advance our America First agenda, it is essential that we maintain every Republican seat in Congress. We must be unified to accomplish our mission. And Elise Stefanik has been a vital part of our efforts from the very beginning. I have asked Elise, as one of my biggest allies, to remain in Congress to help me deliver historic tax cuts, great jobs, record economic growth, a secure border, energy domination, peace through strength, and much more. So we can make America great again. By the way, that was 1 sentence. With a very tight majority, I don't want to take a chance on anyone else running for Elise's seat. The people love Elise, and with her, we have nothing to worry about come Election Day. There are others that can do a good job at the United Nations. Therefore, Elise will stay in Congress, rejoin the House leadership team, and continue to fight for our amazing American people. Speaker Johnson is thrilled. I look forward to the day when Elise is able to join my administration in the future. She is absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Elise. The same Elise Stefanik, when she became a prominent Republican in upstate New York, would call Donald Trump all kinds of names.
Yeah. But I mean, there's the tell right there. We don't have any election. We don't have to worry about the election. You don't? You don't? Well, then why are you pulling her? Well, if you're not worried about an election that they would have to do if you pulled her, why are you worried about it?
Correct. Exactly. So we're gonna keep our eyes on that. And again, everybody asks about people feeling frustrated, like what can we do? And I always talk about voting. Right? We obviously know we have issues in our country when we don't get the majority of people to the polls. So I just thought I would share this with you. So voting is an act of defiance. They want you to think your vote doesn't matter. And that's exactly why you should vote. Choosing not to vote isn't rebellion, it's surrender. And y'all know how I feel about protest voters. You suck. The system is built to exhaust you. Voter suppression, misinformation, and politicians who don't represent you, it's all designed to make you feel powerless. Voter turnout in the U.S. is low. In 2022, only 46.8% of eligible voters showed up for the midterms. In some local elections, turnout is less than 20%. The less you believe in the power of voting, the more power stays in the hands of the few. In 2025, elections across our country will shape the future. There are governor's races in New Jersey and Virginia. Crazy Mother Runner Jess talked to us about that. We know that there's a lot of movement in Virginia to remove Glenn Youngkin, who's fascist light, from office.
Ooh, he got the smoke too. Oof.
Right. In state legislatures, also New Jersey and Virginia, also having elections in New Jersey and Virginia for their state legislatures. U.S. House special elections. Arizona 7, Florida 1, which we just discussed, gave Alamont. Florida 6, New York 21, which is now different because that's Elise Stefanik will be staying in that seat, and also Texas 18. State Supreme Courts in Wisconsin and in Pennsylvania, and then major mayoral races in New York City, Atlanta, Boston, Seattle, and St. Louis. Voter suppression exists because voting works. Remember, if the Republican Party was willing to accept the fact that free and fair elections are what decide our democracy, they wouldn't be suppressing the vote.
Yeah, they'd make it easier, not harder.
Correct. They wouldn't be violating the Voting Rights Act. They wouldn't be attempting to change, because in our country, the states run the federal elections, and Donald Trump wants to change that, wants to take control. Now, listen, I hate it when I'm right, but when we talked about that, one of the elements of Project 2025 that scared the shit out of me was not just the consolidation of three-letter agencies, but three that stood out. The FCC, which is Federal Communications Commission, we're seeing that being enacted every single day about eliminating journalists, not giving them the ability to report in the news, right? The FTC, which is the Federal Trade Commission, the group that would manage the legality of tariffs, and then the Federal Elections Commission.
FEC, yeah.
The FEC. So that would be basically saying that the federal government is going to run the state elections, and the federal government to determine what the rules are regarding voting. The federal government will change the way in which state elections are run. For example, stopping mail-in ballots. Guys, thanks for helping us reach the gifting goal. I appreciate y'all. Let me do this before I get yelled at. I know that you wouldn't yell at me, but you know what? I'm going to throw a galaxy out there. I never do that, but I'm going to throw it out there.
Love that.
There you go.
Say it with your chest.
And then one element of that new change to the laws would be stop counting or unable to count mail-in ballots beyond Election Day. So there's that. All right. So voter suppression exists because voting works. The civil rights movement, labor rights, and immigration policies changed because communities mobilized and voted. Laws are written by those who show up. When we don't show up, decisions are made without us and against us. Latinos, Black voters, and young people are the fastest growing voting blocs, but also the most targeted for voter suppression. If voting didn't matter, they wouldn't try so hard to make it harder for us to vote. Young people, Gen Z, I'm talking to you. Show the fuck up. Stop being continue to be so socially active. Continue to do that. Continue to be the stalwarts of progressive politics in the future. Continue to do that, but show up and fucking vote. Show up and vote. Seriously.
Look at the galaxies coming in. All right.
Thank y'all. You guys are great. Skipping elections won't dismantle the system. Not voting doesn't punish corrupt politicians. It rewards them. They count on low turnout, on apathy, on people saying, my vote doesn't count. That's how they keep their power. Vote like everything is at stake, because it is. Abortion rights, immigration policies, wages, healthcare, education, climate protection, etc., etc., etc. The people in office are deciding all of it. If we don't show up, they decide without us.
Vote like Ruth sent you. I got the shirt. Yep.
Exactly. Vote like Ruth sent you. I mean, everybody
and they
said,
are, from what I understand, in Florida. Josh Wheel was on, I saw an interview with him, and he said early voting in Florida is looking good for those districts. So
yeah, I mean, so they're running scared, friends. So let them. This is an example. I get messages all the time when I'm not getting death threats. I'm getting messages from people all the time about what can I do? How can I get involved? And my message is the same. It's to do something.
Show up.
If you can't drag yourself to the polls to vote in a midterm or a special election, then I'm sorry for you. Actually, I'm not. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Yeah,
Right?
do what you can.
If you pay attention to what we talk about here every single day, I mean, we talk, I mean, it could be Antifa Monday through Sunday, right? These are fascists. They are taking control of the things that you claim to care about. They are attempting to pass legislations in red states telling people who give haircuts could be criminals, right? Changing the way that we interpret the Constitution, gaslighting us, lying to us. Remember, there are progressives and there are conservatives. It's not Republican Democrat to me anymore. It's people who want to move our country forward, or it's people who want to live under the fascist umbrella, because there are fascist conservative Democrats as well. Let's be real. You are either all in for progress or you're all out. Exactly,
Yeah.
Jassy. All gas, no brakes. I love that. All gas, no brakes.
And can I just give a little light to the activities that people are doing
You've got the floor. I'll be right back.
You bet. Social Security, right? I don't know if y'all been paying attention. If you, I probably watched a little too much news because I try to stay informed in whatever, right? I vacillate between well informed and wanting to put my head in the sand. So I know I'm not alone there. But in seeing all the people who are literally getting out protesting with the Social Security stuff and in front all over the country, right? And so you'll notice there's been this back and forth with, oh, we're going to get rid of the phone, or we're going to get rid of the phone lines for people to call in. They're going to have to verify their identity in person or online. And people are pissed. People are like, oh, no, you don't. You're not going to take away Mima and Papa's ability to call in. Like, what are you doing? And people are mad, and they're getting out and they're putting signs up and they're protesting and they're lining up in the streets about it. And the pushback has worked because you see them, they were going to. People are missed what I heard it's going to be. They've delayed it for 2 weeks or some BS like that. And even before that, they were going to do it and then they weren't going to do it. There is power to us doing things, to us gathering, right? And I think one of the things that really struck me, I can't remember who it was. It may have been Tim Snyder. It may have been somebody else. Tim Snyder's always saying really smart stuff where, and I think it was him, but it's like, if weird things happen and nobody reacts to it, then it gets normalized as, well, it must not be as weird as it feels from where I'm sitting. And then you see everybody react to it when you're seeing these people show up for these rallies that literally 2025 couldn't be further from an election year than it is right now. Right? There is no upcoming other than these smaller elections, right? This is about as slow of an election time as we have in our cycle. Yet people are showing up with Bernie and AOC. I went to the rally in Tempe, which we thought we were doing some big things in Arizona, and then Denver and Tucson said, "Hold my beer." Like we got something to tell you. I mean, the pushback works. So do not grow weary. I know it's easy to grow weary, but if you pay attention to all the muzzle velocity gaslighting and then forget to look at what is working, that's when you get a little too weary. So if anything helps you feel a little better, we do have a voice. We do have a voice. Yes, and even in Wisconsin, the head of the Wisconsin Democratic Party was talking about the fact that people are showing up in Wisconsin to battle Elon's money that he's putting in this election for judge. I believe it's Campbell. Is that her name?
I think that's the name. Yes. I think you're right.
Yeah. So it works. Like we are more powerful. That election, I think, is definitely one to watch because that's going to be the thing that says,
Crawford,
you know what?
That's right. It's Crawford. That's
Crawford.
Right.
Thank you. That's going to be the election that says, hey, Elon's money isn't as powerful as he wants it, as he thinks it is. And I hope.
And I think something else before I get to Wolverine, and I think something else. It's a heavy lift. We have to be honest with ourselves. It's a heavy lift in these two races in Florida.
It is.
Because they're massive, massive margins. But what we've seen so far in these off-cycle elections, when I think about that. I think it's the Idaho or an Iowa state Senate seat, a district that Trump won by like 20 points. The Democrat flipped that seat and won by 13 points.
Yeah.
So that's a 34-point swing. So even if they don't win those seats, and I'm going to choose to be positive, thinking that they can, watch the margins. So if you see voter turnout relatively strong, and you see that margin go from a +20 to a +7, that's a big indicator. Those are the things that people don't talk about enough. So those are things we'll keep our eyes on. Wolverine, thank you for joining, friend. What's on your mind?
Hey, I caught your live a little late. But I heard you talking about voting and people that just don't feel their vote counts or it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to say was, if you look back, if you Google the sheriff's race in Louisiana in 24, the sheriff had won that race. It was a black gentleman that ran against a white male, and he won the race by one vote. One vote. So I tell people all the time, it drives me crazy when people say their vote, it doesn't matter anyways. It's one vote, And then going back to the same year, 24, there was a woman that ran. It was a Democrat. She ran against somebody who was running that had Trump money, white male. And she was a former newscaster, I guess, in the Jacksonville area in 24. Well, he outspent her 4-1. She won that race, and that was a large conservative red area. So when people just make the excuse or say, why bother, or why should we try? Those are two reasons why it's so important to vote.
I could not agree more. I could not agree more. Again, end of the day, so I don't believe that the United States is the greatest country on earth. I've never believed that. I do not believe we're the freest nation on earth. But to get access to the freedoms that we have here, you have two duties: to vote and to pay your fucking taxes. That's it. That's all you're asked to really do. There's the social contract. That's a different thing. But part of the civic structure, pay your fucking taxes and vote. Get off your ass. Stop complaining. Get out there and vote. If you're a protest voter, then I'm sorry, you're no different than the rest of the fascists.
I'm going to vote, but I'm going to be a protest taxpayer. I ain't doing that.
Exactly.
Hey, I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Wolverine. I appreciate you, Wolverine. Be here. Since you mentioned AOC, let's play some sound from the Queen, okay?
Cool. We love her.
Call radical, I believe, is common sense. I believe that in the wealthiest nation in the history of the world, if a person gets sick, they shouldn't go bankrupt. Common sense. I believe that a minimum wage should cover the minimum cost to live. Common sense. I believe that homes are not slot machines for investors and big banks to extort working families out of every last dollar that they have. A home is sacred. I believe that our elected officials should take on abuses of corporate greed everywhere they find it. We must get big money out of politics.
Well, for those of you that have been paying attention, AOC and Bernie are fighting the fight, and it's the oligarchy versus the democracy tour, and they are going to Phoenix, they're going to Denver, and they're drawing massive crowds.
Massive.
Now, again, I want to say this, and I'm going to say this directly. I don't give a fuck about your bumper sticker. I could care less about the flag you fly. I could care less about you going to these rallies. I could care less about your momentum when you walk in the door and you come out cheering. What I care about is showing up at the fucking polls and voting. That's what I care about.
I will say, interesting little anecdotal story about just how them going out to do that has helped. I guess probably I'm guessing this is happening all over. People are talking, people who've seen each other at the rally. So Darius, my partner, who works at an educational institution here in the city, some people who know him saw him at the rally because I volunteered, so he got to sit like kind of close. So someone who he works with saw him there, and then just recently pulled him aside in the elevator at work and was like, I think I saw you at that rally. Was that you? He was like, yeah. I was there too. Like they started talking and then other people are like, oh yeah. And so now they're finding each other at work where you don't typically want to talk about those things because we're trying to remain neutral, corporate, whatever stuff. So I just, there's the wave of coalescing around that. I think it's helping. I hear your message of like, yeah, that's all great and fine, but show up to vote. Yes. And also I love that they're also doing these things to help us feel like we aren't as powerless as it feels.
Agreed. I mean, I think I have to be careful how I say this. If there's anything good from what we're seeing, right, and with the current administration and the previous hellscape of 4 years, back in 2016, 2017, it's that people, I think, are finally starting to see it. So,
yeah.
Personally, I feel a sense of accomplishment there. We do this every single day, and we talk about these things in terms of why it's so important and what's actually happening. And the fact that the muzzle velocity of disinformation and misinformation is by design to keep people distracted, to keep people suppressed, all those kinds of things. Maybe there's folks who are waking up. I don't know. I hope.
I believe there is. Hey, good morning, Benny.
Hi, Benny.
Friendly neighbor from up north. How's it going?
Canadian.
It's going well, Ron. It's going well. What's on your mind today?
Well, a few things. First of all, I want to do a bit of a mental health check-in with everybody. It's been a fucking hell of a week. Been a lot going on, fighting the good fight. And, with recent events, which you had touched upon earlier at the start of your live, it's been a lot for folks. And
it's been a week.
How we doing, guys? How we doing?
Hanging in.
Well, yeah. To be honest, not great, to be honest, but I'm a privileged white man in America, so I'm not going to complain.
Trying to be where my feet are, friend. Trying to be where my feet are.
That too fucking true, AD. Too fucking true.
Yep.
Here's a story that might bring a bit of smiles and laughs to folks today. Somewhat of a pivot, somewhat of a palate cleanser. I heard an update. Allegedly, there are sources confirming that in the capital of Greenland, I believe Nuuk. I'm probably mispronouncing that.
I think it's Nuuk. Yeah.
Nuuk. Yeah. There is a gentleman who is constructing a float to celebrate the Vice President, J.D. Vance, canceling his scheduled trip to Greenland. And Steve, would you like to hazard a guess what that float is going to be?
I don't know. Perhaps a gigantic couch?
Close. It is a gigantic float of the Vice President, J.D. Vance, having relations with his couch that they will be parading around town this weekend.
In couch entanglement.
That's fabulous.
Big if true. Would love to see pics, but...
And by the way, did you know it was only going to be his wife and kiddo? And then there was a bunch of, news about how nobody wanted them there. And so then he thought he needed to come along.
Yeah, his wife Usha, they went, right?
Yes.
I think, yeah, along with some other people who.
Yeah, he was not going to go, but then Signalgate happened, and oopsies.
So I guess what I'm thinking is that JD was going to take the trip, right? Initially a full trip, then he decided to shorten it, so it basically became a love seat trip.
A love seat, dear God! He went from a full sectional to a love seat. See what you
try the veal. I'm here all week.
Yeah.
Oh my, yes.
The jokes write themselves.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's true. Again,
we laugh so we don't cry.
Yeah. Right. So let's be real. No one in the smooth brain troglodyte world had ever even uttered the word Greenland at any point in their lives prior to all this conversation. But I've been watching, this is a strange thing, Danish politics. Oh, Danish. Oh, squirrel. Sorry. Danish politics and how this is landing. And those folks are fucking badass. They
Yeah, they
do
are.
not want. They're not going to deal with any of this shit. They're just like
They don't back down.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Their obsession, Brianna, their obsession with Greenland is because they're told to be obsessed with Greenland.
Money.
Russia.
It's resources.
Well, it's no different than any other country that the administration is wanting to target. Greenland, Europe, Canada. Nobody was tossing hate our way up until Trump was basically telling them, "Yeah, you got to hate these guys." Oh, okay, cool. They still can't point it out on a fucking map though. So we've got that going for us.
Yeah, I'm quite certain nobody knew where
They
Greenland
can't.
was, and probably still doesn't. I mean,
I can't even spend the time to try to explain it to a lot of them. Mostly because I don't have the patience, but I'm also running out of crayons because they keep fucking eating them.
oof.
Yeah, yeah. There's that. I've seen your new prime minister be really assertive, saying that it's not going to be status quo. The relationship between the U.S. and Canada is not going to be the same, and it's
Well,
not.
he gave that official statement yesterday. I believe he did his address where he's like, "Yeah, the old way of doing things is done.
Yep.
That's it."
Which I think is great. I think it's great.
You got to draw that line in the sand. You got to put your foot down.
I agree.
That's how you have to deal with people like that.
Boundaries.
And,
We talk about setting boundaries.
That's right.
Absolutely, 110%. So that's where I'll leave you guys here. You know what? I just want to say thank you everyone for being here. We've made it to Friday. We made it to another week.
We did.
Still a lot of ground to cover, and
Elbows still
a
up.
good fight. As I always say, elbows up. Keep your stick on the ice. Take care, guys.
Love you, Benny.
Love you, buddy. See you later, Benny.
Guys.
I want Benny to be
Man.
the ambassador.
I always feel better after having conversations with our emotional support Canadian.
Me too. I completely agree with you. I completely agree. Everybody keep tapping and sharing. We appreciate you all for being
Yes,
here.
please. Can we get to 200,000 likes, please? And thank you. I know this is an engaging conversation, but could you tippity tap, like skippity pap while we're talking? I think that would be such a wonderful thing. Please, please, please. And share. Get the shares up, please. Just copy the link. Do whatever. Hit the little heart by Facts name. That helps push to the FYP. As we've been talking about, things might not feel like they matter, but these things do matter. When we understand that we have power together, we are not alone. We are not the crazy ones. They can gaslight us till the gas lamps run out of gas. But damn it, we're not going to think it's us. No way, no how. So
Correct. Maven, hi. It's been a minute. Good to see you again. How's it going?
Morning.
Good morning.
It is going well. I was just listening as I often do. I don't, usually I'm always kind of up and running around because I'm very politically engaged. But I just wanted to, in this conversation of spirit of, like saying that we have power. I am currently 45 minutes away from, I'm trying to put my face on and do my things to go to the Navy Congressional Luncheon, which has 4 Congress people there. It has 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats in the Virginia area. I'm in the coastal Virginia area, and a handful of us who are local activists, we basically went in and found out about the event. Bunch of us bought a bunch of tickets, and we had shirts made that says like, Jen, do your job, because Congresswoman Kiggins is the Republican that represents my district, which is a very beautiful district. And she literally, like, we had a rally on Saturday, the 22nd. We had 500 people show up. And we had a cardboard cutout of Congresswoman Kiggins because she was invited and she refuses to attend or hold any town halls. And then she came out with a statement and was like, that we were paid protesters, that we are, all of these things. But like, what I want to tell people is that this kind of stuff is rattling them.
Oh, yeah.
They are not used to this, not just the rallies, y'all, but we are showing up. So what I would encourage people is to go on mobilize.com. It is a fantastic website. It geolocates where you live. Look for things that you can show up at. And I know this is really hard because what they're doing right now, the Republicans right now are doing, they're working off of accessibility issues for people. So what we have found is that our Republican Congress people in Virginia are going to events that are only paid events, because if they go to free events, right, that means too many people can access them. So go to mobilize.com, find events in your area that you can go to. If they're free, go, show up, right? Even if it's a Republican only event, just show up, get a group of people, go in numbers, just a handful of people. Don't put yourself in danger. But this kind of stuff is rattling people. And I just, I'm seeing the power of that. And I just want to really encourage people to just find those people the people in your area that are doing this kind of stuff, get with them and just show up, even if it's standing on the sidewalk protesting. So
I love that. There was a recent, there's a recent rally on my state. So Representative Becca Ballant, who represents the state of Vermont. We have one representative here just based on population. She is a former teacher, advocate, member of the LGBTQIA community, and she was held a town hall recently, and she was in an area of the state that's very remote. It's called Island Pond, Vermont. Is literally on the Canadian border. You could toss a coin out the window and you would hit Canada.
Yeah.
And that would be the redder part of the state. So she went literally right into that lion's den, and she addressed these things. And there were people in the audience that were saying, why did you vote against men and women's sports?
Right.
And she just addressed it.
Yeah.
And said, I voted against hatred and bigotry is what I voted against.
Right. And it'll be really interesting today because, this is the Navy luncheon. So this is a luncheon that happens every, I live where the largest Navy base is. I also live literally 3 minutes from a Navy master jet base. So this area, obviously very heavy military presence, which, listen, we're still kind of at a 50-50 military situation when we talk about partisanship, right? But we're starting to see more of especially with the whole signal gate stuff, that's helping. But I will update you and let you know how this, because we have 4 Congress members coming today, and this is a sold out event, and I'm at table number 41, y'all. So I don't know how many tables of 10 they have, but I love that. I'm looking so forward to going to this luncheon and just seeing what kind of pushback Rob Whitman, he's the congressman. It's Bobby Scott, Jennifer McClellan, Rob Whitman, and Kiggins. So we'll see. But anyways, I just wanted to give you that little thing. That. Just tell people, we got to keep showing up.
Thank you for saying that. You inspired me. I really appreciate that. And everybody learn from example. Mobilize.com. I'm I'm grateful that you recommended that 80 left. Yeah. But thank you for being here, Maven. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
I appreciate you. See you later. All right. Oh, hello. By the way, thank you for your kind donation. You didn't need to do that. I really appreciate you.
Well, our family has been blessed this month, and it's my turn to bless you. Take your flowers, goddammit. First of all, thank you. I like your shirt. I've been cracking up over him the whole time. Misfit, my favorite. I love that movie. One that I grew up on.
I want to be a dentist.
I'm on the island of misfits. We could go into the whole song, but that would punish your viewers. I wanted to, if it's okay, are you okay to talk about the Trans Day of Visibility coming up?
Please. We're thinking about, we're going to do something. So yes, please.
Yes. On March 31st is Trans Day of Visibility. And guys, I'm not crying talking about it, but it is something that's near and dear to my heart. So I know here in Salt Lake City this weekend, we are having a march from the Utah State Capitol down to Washington Square. And it starts at 3. We're all meeting up there, marching down State Street, which is our main road in Salt Lake City. And then we will end at Washington Square. And then they're having like an open mic. Anyone and everyone, I know it's not a political movement. It's strictly this one today, or it's not one that's like political. We're not rallying at the Capitol. But if you really want to make someone feel loved and seen, show up to something this weekend, because there's a lot going on. And you wouldn't believe the amount of lives you will save just by simply showing up and supporting our trans loved ones. I myself am non-binary. We have 3 queer kids. 3 trans kids. We would love for anybody to come show up and be a part of it with us. And And then I was going to say one more thing. Oh, I sent that money to help with long distance, because who would I be if I wasn't a true lesbian? We all support the long distance lesbians or long distance relationships. So listen, there's no pond too small for us.
I'm sorry, that caught me off guard, Coach.
I don't know if you know
Appreciate
it, but you just became an honorary lesbian for that. So
I appreciate that. Well, I drive a Subaru.
a lesbaroo. That's it.
Exactly.
That's it. I'm going to change your glasses to rainbow glasses.
I love that.
Jen texted me that the other day, and I'm just so happy for you. I hope you find nothing but love and joy. I'm a little sad that Erica's taken now, because she's one of my biggest crushes as well. So my wife and I always say she just needs to get on and read sapphic novels to lesbians. She would be like...
We've actually talked about that, to be honest. But
I have with her as well. So, but I just wanted to tell you I'm really happy. And are you okay if I check in on how things are with your son?
Yeah. Actually, I spoke to him last night. He got his 30-day pin yesterday. And I get to go pick him up on Wednesday morning, actually.
I'm so happy to hear that.
And we're working a lot. There's a lot going on. I feel like the duck, calm on the surface, but all kinds of chaos underneath the water at the moment. But yeah, we're getting there. He's doing well. He looks great. He's doing very, very well. I really, really appreciate you asking about that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, everybody gifting me, please gift Steve. Iris and I we are great. We're doing great right now. Please send it Steve's way. But just remember to be kind to yourself and to him. When I know I don't need to say that. I don't have a similar circumstance in having someone come home from rehab, but when Iris had an attempt, she's been open about this. I know I can talk about it, a couple years ago, and it took us solid 6 to 8 weeks to get back into a rhythm and to get back into having her home and sorry, I didn't realize that was in my hand. Get back into the swing of things. So just be very, very kind to yourself, because it's not easy. That reintegration process it's not easy. So
I appreciate you saying that, friend. I really do, and for everything. And it's I feel like I've known you forever, like literally. I feel like I now have known you like forever, and it's only been like a few weeks.
Yeah, well, that's because when you find family, it just automatically feels like family. And actually, let me show you really quick before I hop off, because Eve, my dear and lovely, sweet Eve, I'm going to cry talking about her. Because
speaking of another rock star, right?
I got a package in the mail yesterday. This woman just continues to surprise me, and we've now got business cards.
Yeah, I kind of knew those were coming.
I knew you knew they were coming. We got keychains. We've got pins. Lots of pins, magnets, bookmarks, and somewhere here, magnetic bottle openers. And so we plan to hand them out at the rally this weekend and get our business out there. But I'm so tired, and I'm so grateful to be so tired. So
do me a solid, will you? Since you tell me to take my flowers, will you tell Eve to do the same?
Yes, I did. I told her last night on the MBW Live as well. Y'all, you guys, let me tell you all that Eve has done for us. We didn't have a website prior to this. We didn't have any type of, our logo was ranky janky. And Eve and Moth came together and made us a beautiful oh my gosh, someone's offered being my accountant. Oh my God, that's incredible. We didn't have, we were just two people out doing the best to provide a work or a income for our family. And one of the things about Iris and I is we're both neurodivergent. And so
welcome to the club.
Yeah. Late in life diagnoses. And anyway, I'm finally on Ritalin because I can afford it now. And I'm just like, the difference that has made for me. But this is about Eve, so let me finish getting to that. We didn't have anything, and Eve basically said, "Here you go," and handed it to us on a silver platter. And I message her videos that I make for our business, and she puts them up on the website. My goal is to be able to afford to have Eve, like to be able to pay her genuinely. And I haven't told her that, but we're already all in agreement that if Eve is willing and because it's
good luck convincing her of that. I'm just letting you
I'll
know
just
now.
send the money to you and make you send it to her. So whichever. But I think I told our rent for next month is already paid. Paid. We've already got it fully paid. And that for the first time in probably a year, we're not getting an eviction notice and having to scramble. And that's because of our work, but because of people coming together to help us.
You're muted.
It's become,
there you go. Yep.
It's become just such a beautiful love project of ours. And it, because of you guys and because of Eve and because of our hard work, we are making a living for a couple neurodivergent kids adults, Iris and I, and 7 children who require so much of our time that we literally can't hold down full-time jobs in the corporate world because they don't smile upon moms, and people who don't have the ability to just work 24/7. So I am very grateful.
It's our honor to help you, and thank you for allowing us to be there for you. We appreciate it.
Yeah, well, it wasn't easy, but it's been the best thing I've done in a very long time, and just for getting on the phone or getting on a TikTok live and crying. So it is, I feel like a lot of people need to remember that sometimes the biggest growth comes from those hardest moments.
Well said.
And it's all in what we choose. Dean, and Amy Dawn, I wanted to get on and tell, I'm hoping she's still listening. But it's in those moments of vulnerability that my community came and surrounded me, community I didn't know we had. And so I'm trying to offer the same to other people. I want you to know that anything you need when and around your son or this long distance lesbian thing, I got you. Right? I'm here at any time for anything. If you just need to vent, call, cry, any of it.
I appreciate you very much. You're very kind.
I love
like I told you before, once you become part of our family, you are gum on the shoe, so get used to it. But
never been happier. And actually, I'm going to go subscribe for the entire year since I have the money in my account right now. I've been wanting to do it. I just haven't.
I appreciate that.
I got to get to these wicked fun game nights. That's my only goal.
We're working on it. More to come on that. Coach, it's an honor. I really appreciate you being here.
You too, my friend. And somebody was just asking what it was this weekend.
Oh, yeah. Say it one more time, please.
One more time. There's a Trans Day of Visibility rally. It starts at 3:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time at the Salt Lake or at the Utah State Capitol. We will be marching down State Street to Washington Square for people who are worried about accessibility, because we do believe in the ANDEIA. It'll be on a road. There is a hill. But if you're in a wheelchair, if you need assistance, please just shoot me a message and I'm happy to figure out the arrangements that we need so that you can be there. So we're marching down to Washington Square, which it's about 10 city blocks, maybe a few less. So not a super long walk, but it is a walk. And then there'll be an open mic. So I'm really excited. Dano, if you're going to be there, please shoot me a message. We'll meet up. But don't want to take up any more time. Say no to fascism and punch Nazis.
I love you, friend. See you later. Have a good day. Okay.
Right, bye.
I love to hear stories like that. Makes what we do here every single day so worth it. That's our mission. And it's just, I fucking love that shit. Jeez, that's crazy. Wow. Love to hear that. And thank you, Coach, and for your kindness. I appreciate you. All right, everybody keep tapping and sharing. We're marching towards noon today. And just as a reminder, programming note, no Facts After Dark tonight. Our schedule for that is every other week. So we'll be back at it next Friday. Hi, Cindy. How are you today? Cindy? Hello? Hello, Cindy? Can't hear you. Going once? Going twice? All right. Speaking of fascists, we haven't really heard much from Marjorie Three Toes recently, but if you've seen, she happens to be the chair of the committee that Jasmine Crockett's on, which I think is great. But she was cornered by a British journalist recently, and I think the sound is just great. Just how triggered she gets.
What country are you
From
from?
the UK.
Okay, we don't give a crap about your opinion and your reporting. Why don't you go back to your country where you have a major migrant problem? And you no. You should care about your own borders.
Do you care about American lives being put at risk?
Let me tell you something. Do you care about people from your country?
Do you care about American lives being put at risk?
You know what? I don't care. I don't.
Service members fighting for your country.
I don't care about your fake news. Do you have a relevant question? Yeah, this is an American journalist.
Watch this.
I'm American, and I'd like to hear your answer to what she's asking.
I'm not answering her question because I don't care about her network. If you would like to ask, I can answer. That's what this is about today, not journalists from the UK that care about journalists.
And then she walks out. You're right. I mean, it is so embarrassing. Okay, this is an example of why voting matters, because I believe, and I would have to go back and check, she may have run unopposed. And let's call it what it is. The Republicans are much better at that than the Democrats' ground game in those sort of open seats, so to speak. Heavily red district, for those people who know her district in Georgia. It's bright fucking red, but I think she ran unopposed. And she's a chairperson of like the Doge committee or like a sub chair. Was I wrong about that? Did not run unopposed. Anyway, it's a bright red district, right? If you live around her, then fucking run. Just put your name in. Listen, you could be looking at yourself saying, Steve, I appreciate that, but I'm not cut out to run for Congress. Fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene is your representative in that district. Lauren Boebert is your representative. I mean, come on. Seriously. Come on. Yeah, Marcus Flowers ran against her last time. Again, sadly, black man in the South. It's a tough lift, but that's who's out there dealing with her fucking craziness and chaos. All right. Just again, I wanted to make a thank you to Heidi and to Stacy for their kindness. Hi, welcome back.
Hi, I love that Coach was up here giving you your flowers, and no pond too small. Winky, winky. So cute, so cute. So cute. But the prior guest, I can't, and of course I scrolled and can't remember her name, but she was talking about Mobilize,
What
right?
country are you from?
Maven, yes.
Yes, and also wanted to just piggyback onto that, Indivisible, right? And we've got the hands off rallies coming up on the 5th, which ironically aligns with the TikTok may go away date.
Yep.
So for those of you that, again, we don't know what's going to happen with this app. So whatever's going on, please subscribe, or whatever you need to do to be part of our community, whether it's join the Discord, if subscribing is not in your bank account, and we certainly understand every penny matters these days. So if you can, yes, please subscribe, because that's where we're going to be kind of housing our community if by chance this thing goes away. If it doesn't, great. But if it does, we're not going away. So we want to make sure y'all know where we will be rallying. It'll be there. And also the Discord. So if that is something that you want to do, I highly recommend coming to join the Discord, because like we were talking about, we're going to do some subscriber only events. And even if you don't subscribe, the Discord is a wonderful place to talk about stuff, to feel together, to feel like you're not alone. We also have the Are You Okay channel. We have people around to talk to if possible. If not, also, we don't have it in the background today, but normally there's the 988 line in the background. I just wanted to mention that because that's kind of come up lately again. If you don't know what 988 is, if you're feeling like you are needing to talk to someone and you don't have family or friends, or you're a therapist, or you have barriers to accessing mental health, because Lord knows that is a thing, and I really don't like that at all. I wish everyone could get a therapist when they need it at any time. But if you don't have the option of doing that, please, 988 is not just for unaliving crisis. It is for any mental health crisis that you may find yourself in and you don't have any other option, and you just need to ground yourself by talking to another human. I have about couple decades and more experience in mental health counseling and stuff. And even I, when I was on staff there, had to go through a full, very long, intensive training as to how to field these calls, how to manage the situations that we would get from people who would call in. When I say those folks are well trained to be there for you in a way that you will feel validated and seen, and you will be able to get what you need. They will put you in touch with resources. If you know someone in crisis and you're not sure what to do, 988 is also a number that you can call as a third party who is concerned. You can share information. That is totally what they're there for as well. They are trained to do risk assessment. They know when to call crisis and when to not. Like, it's just a really great resource that I don't think we used to talk about it more. So I just wanted to kind of reiterate, please utilize 988. It's there, and they do amazing work on that line, and it's there for all of us.
Good call. So just as a quick reminder, the stock market opened down. It's currently down 510 points, and that is coming on news of just the continued volatility. Don't forget additional tariffs introduced by the Trump administration on any finished automobiles that come in from certain countries into our country, which is going to drive the prices up because, of course, we know that tariffs will impact the consumer. You were speaking briefly about the TikTok situation, so I thought we would address that because technically TikTok is banned in the U.S. What the Trump administration has simply done is said that we're not going to penalize the various app stores and ISPs for those people who carry it. So it's technically banned. The deadline is, I think it's next week. I think it's the 5th.
It is the 5th.
And based on the way the law was written, the president has the authority to either kick the can down the road, continue to do what they did, as far as not penalize the agencies involved, the organizations involved, or help facilitate a sale. Because he's great at the art of the deal. Said no one ever, except for him. So this is he was asked about it. So this is the audio, or this is the sound from that, and I don't know what the fuck he's saying, but we'll play it anyway.
The deadline for the TikTok sale. Will you extend that deadline if you don't have a deal? Do you support Oracle?
Well, we will have a form of a deal. TikTok is very popular, very successful, very good. We're going to have a form of a deal, but if it's not finished, it's not a big deal. We'll just extend it. I have the right.
We're going to have a form of a deal, in case you guys are wondering. Just like a concept of a plan, we're going to have a form of a deal.
To have the deal and to extend it if I want. So we'll see whether or not we have a deal. We have a lot of interest in TikTok.
Is there a way for a U.S. company to operate it and ByteDance to still have a share of the algorithm?
Well, there are numerous ways you can buy TikTok, and we will find the one that's best for the country, for our country. I'm worried about our country more than anything else with respect to TikTok. And China is going to have to play a role in that, possibly.
I knew it.
In the form of an approval, maybe. And I think they'll do that. Maybe I'll give them a little reduction in tariffs or something to get it done, because every point in tariff is worth more money than TikTok. If you think every point, tariff is a much bigger world and TikTok is big, but every point in tariffs is worth more than TikTok.
What the fuck is he even talking?
What?
In order to get China to do, maybe I'd give them a reduction in tariffs as an example. Sounds like something I do.
So Natalie points this out, and I agree that he is incredibly talented at being so vague. It is true that is his skill. He's really good at that. But what the fuck did he say? And I will point out. Oh, and by the way, hold on a second, AD. Fish trucker. You said if you had a question, my guy. I saw your comment scroll by when Amy was talking, but if you said you wanted to pull over, as long as you're safe, if you want to come back up and answer that question, I'd love to have you. Sorry, go ahead.
Let's point out. Pay attention again. I guarantee you, whatever
happens. My daughter's off school today, but she's leaving to go see with friends. I just want to go say goodbye. I'll be right back.
I guarantee y'all pay attention, right? You notice what he said. I have the power to do. It's a good app. Whatever he calls good, he's going to do whatever to make sure it sticks around and he can still leverage whatever thing he likes, right? And then take credit for it, right? So watch for that. Watch that space. The minute anything happens about it, he's going to frame it as it was him that saved it. So everybody has to thank him for keeping a popular thing. That's that. Ooh, the narcissist is going to narcissist every single time without favor. Okay, folks, we're at 2,000K or 200,000K. Oh, I did the just thing and I just set a number randomly. We're at 200K. Please keep on tapping. Our numbers are a little dwindling as they often do this later in the morning, but there's still a powerful bunch of you in here with fingers. Please go ahead and keep on tapping so we can keep on talking. Keep on talking. Yes, hello. Did you get your
mood?
Oh, well, shucks.
Well, I talked about this a little bit the other day about how unless your kids, this is my theory because I've been to a lot of parent-teacher conferences in my life, and I have this belief that unless your kids are making explosive devices in the back of the classroom, they're going to tell you, we love your son or daughter. They're just the best. We love them. They're engaged in class. And I'm just like, listen, tell me the truth.
Right.
The truth.
Which I get. Poor teachers are so used to parents coming at them. So,
yeah. So the question I asked is like, so when I walk in there, because I had to move some things around for some work stuff this week, so I got some special time with the teachers. I said, so when I walk in there today, what are they going to tell me? Well, they may say that I tend to talk a little bit in class. I'm like, yeah, that's my kid. That tracks.
To me, that's an asset.
I agree.
Keep on talking, Rowan. Keep on talking.
I totally
love that
agree.
girl. You tell our daughter, keep it up.
That's exactly right. Good morning, Obi.
Good morning, love.
Greetings and salutations, all.
Hello. So lovely to see you.
It's so nice to be seen. Though I would turn my camera on, but I just got done with a 3-mile walk with the dog. So,
sweaty.
I am shiny.
Is that what they're calling it now? Hey now.
Your slacks are definitely moist.
I am wearing Adidas track pants. Thank you.
Moist track pants today, then. I'm verklempt.
Well, specifically Adidas, because Run DMC taught me one thing. It's that my Adidas are very, very, very important.
Yes. They are.
So I don't know if you talked about it yesterday or early this morning. By the way, while I was brushing my teeth, I added Amy, Dawn, you, and Francis to a Signal chat called JD Vance Violates ? I was able to do that while brushing my teeth just to demonstrate how exactly easy it is.
And exactly how you had to do it yourself, right?
Yes.
You had to manually
I had to manhandle my manual.
You had to manhandle that ad.
Oh, yeah.
I hope you said it to disappear.
We got a little dose of FAD without even knowing it. So there you go.
I wrestled my mobile device to the ground and used my thumbs in ways it wasn't expecting.
Hey now.
Did you see what the cult in Utah did yesterday? I don't know if you talked about it.
What
Oh, Lord mercy.
We went through Tennessee and we went through Arkansas. So
may as well be fair.
We haven't gotten to Utah yet.
The cult in Utah, aka the Mormon Church, which runs the governorship, mind you, and has for decades, they just got done eliminating mail-in voting.
Oh, that's nice.
You didn't catch that?
Jeez.
Shame on you.
I'm going there now.
Especially because our favorite new family member and their family live there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the Utah governor, hold on a second here. Let me go back to the story.
This is why we say, what fresh hell? Because, geez.
Yeah, Utah governor signs bill ending universal mail-in ballot system. Utah Governor Spencer Cox, COX, has signed legislation.
He is a Richard Head.
Yes, Dick Sweat. Utah Governor Spencer Cox has signed legislation that will end the state's universal vote-by-mail system and instead require registered voters to sign up if they want to cast their ballots by mail after 2028. Under the law, which the GOP-controlled state legislature passed earlier this month, counties will no longer send mail-in ballots to all voters on their rolls beginning in 2029. Voters in Utah will have the option to sign up online to receive mail-in ballots, or they can make the selection at the time they register to vote when they show up to cast their ballot at a polling location, or when they obtain or renew driver's licenses and identification cards. So, this new law also shortens the timeline for voters to return their mail-in ballots, putting the state in line with the aggressive push from President Trump when he wants to end all counting of mail-in ballots past Election Day.
Okay,
so
so they can at least do it.
Yeah, that
If
tracks,
they're
but
more
that keeps in
mindful.
mind this is
Yeah, that
this is
tracks.
voter suppression. This
Yeah.
is voter
Right.
suppression.
You know what the
It is
irony
what it
is in Utah, right? The rural areas are red.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Right.
literally
Mm-hmm.
they're literally
Cutting off their nose to spite their face.
fucking their own rural base. Because remember, in their mind, I didn't know if you knew this, Amy, Don, or Steve.
Wow.
Did you know that land votes?
Really?
Apparently,
I did not know that.
I've learned that in some MAGA lives.
Yes.
Based on some maps that they like to share. Yes.
Yeah, exactly, Daniel.
Mhm.
Salt Lake is blue, so you're not impacting what would be probably 60 to 70% of the state's population lives in the greater Salt Lake area, right? But you're literally now going, first of all, you're taking Mima and Peepaw's Social Security away. You're
Right.
reducing their Medicare access and benefits. And
Right.
now they've got to go spend money to put gas in the tractor to drive out to the polling place, which and I'm going to start looking into this today. I want to see what they're doing with the polling places now that they've signed this law. How many of them have they peeled back? How far are people going to have to go now? Right?
Again, rural voters.
Right. And is it not ironic that one of the things the governor talks about is how we need to bring back security to voting and trust within the voters by not giving them access to vote unless they live in metropolitan areas?
Making it harder. Mhm.
Yeah.
Like
it's just it's here's the thing I don't get.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
How stupid do they think people are at this point? Are they
Very.
not watching the news reports of what happens when a Republican congressperson shows up in their district? Because it has not been pretty.
No, that
No,
when
it's
they do
not.
show up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of my point. Like, what are they afraid of? I mean, last time I checked, Utah is bright red. Like, what are they afraid of? Are they getting internal polling and saying, "Fuck, man, we're fucking shit up"? So, they're going to try to suppress the vote, but they're going to suppress the vote of the people who support them.
Right.
Well, here's what we know in general terms, right?
Aside from them being stupid.
Right. This is backed up by data and science, right?
Math.
Fewer and fewer younger generations attend any type of faith service. They're not members of. More and more people are leaving. I think what they're starting to get a sense of, because the Mormon church is literally a cult and it monitors everything in the state of Utah, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
I guarantee you that they're nervous that people are going to start not only walking away from the church, because it's how they derive their income, right?
Yes.
It's through this tithing fucking Ponzi scheme they've got going on because they're not paying taxes, right?
Like they say, follow the money.
Yeah, it's how they have literally ensured in perpetuity that Utah will always be red and only run by Mormons, right? But they know that they're losing members. The Catholic Church is losing members. The Lutheran organizations are losing members. Southern Baptists aren't, because people keep marrying their cousins, so they're guaranteed a certain steady amount of people there, right?
Ouch.
But what's interesting, right, is that all of these things that they're trying to do, when asked a logical question, what is it that you're trying to prevent? All they can talk about is voter fraud. And let us remind everyone, the last 10 individuals in the United States that were arrested for voter fraud were all Trump supporters, were all registered Republicans, half of which took a deceased family member's ballot and filled it in for them.
I want to give a little shout out to Political Witch saying, come on over to the pagan side. We have cookies.
We have cookies.
I mean,
thank you for
listen.
looking at. Yep.
This is why I give blood at the American Red Cross, because they have free snacks.
That's right.
That's why you go to. That's why you go to vote, Steve, instead of mailing it in, because you get pie.
I get pie. Exactly. I get pie. Although last year they were a little short on the pies. So.
I know you were in your feels about that.
I was.
Have I been adopted by a clown?
You have.
I feel like I'm in the best threesome ever.
Insured in perpetuity. Boy, you got a mouth purtier than a $20 whore.
Oh.
Whoa. Good morning, Rusty.
Rusty has entered the chat. We've added Rusty
to a $20 whore.
to
This
the
is
chat.
awesome.
Rusty has been added to our chat without our consent.
Good morning. Good morning, Rusty. How are you, friend?
Oh, you're the only clown I will allow.
Have you shared any classified information today?
Today, no. I've only been up about an hour and a half. So
Mark's safe for today, then. Okay.
Yeah. No. The day is not over yet.
This is true.
That's true. It is early.
Got some hours left.
You know, I'm gathering my notes, and I was in a live last night, and something unique happened. So I was dealing with a mouth breather who is one of these chowderheads who thinks he's really smart.
I love those. Those are my favorite.
Oh yeah. And when the host brought me up, it was AC's live. And when he brought me up, and a couple of people in the chat were like, "Oh great, the clown's here. Sit down, have some popcorn. This is going to be fun." And I started chewing on this moron, and he just said, "You're being rude to me. I will not answer your questions. I'm better than that." It's like, no, you're not. And if you think this is rude, strap in. And then, and part of the argument was about federal courts and whatnot. An attorney came up. I backed off. Like, let the lawyer handle this. This guy was the thing I'd see. This guy was so bad. Another MAGA came into the chat or into the box, and asked him to stop.
Really?
Because he was making all of them look bad.
And the bar was already in Hades, so yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
That's saying something.
Yeah, and the second MAGA that came in was former military, and he was going on about the top secret issue and Hegseth and saying, no, this is not good. This is not how it works. And the original, suck monkey decided to keep doubling down. To a point where I'm sitting here going, I can no longer tell the difference between a troll and a legitimate MAGA.
Yeah, it's like telling the difference between the Onion and an actual news article. I don't know. Could be either.
I don't mean to deflect away from that, but Obi, I was just given some interesting news that you probably already know, but I'd like to be the provider of at least semi-breaking news. There apparently Luke Skywalker, Shadows of Memory, a Skywalker saga projection show debuting at Disneyland tonight.
I saw that.
Are you shifting in your chair?
I need some tissues. Excuse
me. You need to shift a little bit.
So,
Obi, just grab a sock.
You can thank the mod team for that.
Yes, link in the chat, Obi.
Can you say that, but a little deeper? One more time.
Yes, Shadows of Memory, a Skywalker saga projection show debuting at Disneyland tonight.
Bow wow. Oh my god. This just became Facts After Dark without being in the dark. You might want to play the Chris disclaimer right about now.
We haven't heard the Chris disclaimer in quite some time.
That's actually true. I should. What? That's a really good point.
Let us while I slip into something more comfortable.
Yeah, let's do that. Where do I even have? Yeah, here we go. Let's do that. I haven't done this in forever, and I should.
And if you're wondering what comfortable is, that's just my chaps.
Where is it? There it is.
Discomfort.
It is our intention during these live broadcasts to only provide fact-based information to the absolute best of our ability. We strive to never spread misinformation or to platform those that do. Opinions of our guest or commenters are theirs and theirs alone and do not reflect those of the host. Hate speech is not allowed, and we are diligent about policing it. This platform is for educational purposes only.
And
We
now
now
I'm
return
pregnant.
you to our regularly scheduled pandemonium, already in progress.
And yes, Francis,
Now
my
I'm
chaps
moist.
are more comfortable than my Adidas track pants.
I could listen to Chris all day.
To your point, Rusty, though, I mean, I think it's really interesting because I've been observing that as well. Like you're getting pushback and, speaking of Star Wars, resistance from places that you wouldn't normally expect it. And
Yes.
That was good. That was a
thank
good
you.
insert.
I'm here all week. Try the veal.
Even right wing media, Steve. Like
even right wing media. I mean,
about the whole signal stuff. They're starting to say this is not okay, guys.
Yes, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, and I may have to wash my mouth afterwards. But Brett Baer, of all people, although he's been pretty consistent, I must say, of all the talking heads on Fox, he has been the one that has been consistently the most, assertive in responding to some of the things the Trump administration has done. So they've been mentioning this, like even obtuse Ingram the other night talked about that. Like, how did he end up in your chat? Like, who's responsible for that? And Mike Walls, of course, tried to pivot around it. So again, to your point, Rusty, it's we shouldn't be surprised because obviously the information. How do you fucking defend this whole classified documents leak? You can't. They're going to do everything they can. They're going to spin it. We went through the exercise this morning. We talked about how it's typical North Korean autocratic fascist propaganda. Blame somebody else. What about Biden? What about Biden?
Which ironically, Steve, and I'm glad we're kind of back to this because I wanted to ask you from a PR standpoint what your opinion on this is, right? Because there's a couple things that I was talking with Darius about last night, one of which people have talked about, right? Like if they would have only just came correct and be like, yep, this was a thing, it would have knocked us on our heels. Like, what? Accountability? That's a new one, right? We wouldn't have had, the story would have ended. It would have been, you know what? Yes, that wasn't okay. We need to address it. It is what it is. We see it for what it is. We're going to say what it is. And yes, our bad. We need to do better. And also, by the way, and this is the other part I don't think, the mission itself was what they're saying isn't not true. I mean, granted, we can talk about a lot of the other reasons that we would be involved in doing bang bangs on a other country, but just in general, like the fighting of terrorism was a success. I mean, it by all other accounts, and there's military personnel who should feel good about that successful mission and feel good about the work they're doing in that overall fighting the things that we don't like in the world, which is that icky stuff. So that's not being talked about though, because of this.
Yeah. So if you're asking my opinion from experience in regard to how they handle this from the public relations side, I'll tell you this, they have no choice because they have talked constantly about meritocracy in government. Trump goes on the record every single day saying we're only hiring the best people. So if you are attempting to be consistent with your message, because what they're trying to do is be consistent, meaning that it's always about the witch hunt, it's always about the fake news, it's always about everybody else. Never would they ever say, listen, we screwed up big time. This is on us. I'm the president. I am the commander in chief. Ultimately, these decisions fall to me, and I will be addressing it with my team. He can't say that.
He can't say anything because he's not the story. That's the other part too. If he would have just like he normally does, take all the attention and oxygen in the room and put it on his words, right?
Correct.
But he's not had the opportunity to do that because nobody's looking at what his words are because he's like, I don't know what happened, right?
Yeah,
so that's been his only comment.
Right. So now you're stuck in the spin. Now you have to continue. See, I think what they were hoping was they could use the fact that it was a journalist that has been critical of the Trump. Again, remember, just like when they tell us that there's fraud, it does not mean that there's fraud. It just means that they don't like spending money on humanitarian aid. when they say that there was this journalist was corrupt in reporting on Russia, which was real, which reporting on the suckers and losers, which was real, reporting on Charlottesville, which was real, because they didn't like the coverage, they of course want to admonish the press, right? So that's part of the strategy. PR 101.
Deflect,
you get out ahead of it. You get out ahead of it. And when you can't get out ahead of it, you circle the wagons and you shut the fuck up and you don't respond. And that's not what they're doing.
I mean, Olivia Pope would have never, right?
No, exactly. Exactly. And that's what I was saying earlier about when you have, because Trump was critical of Mike Waltz, but not really. Why would you bring Pete Hegseth into this? He had nothing to do with it. So he's telling you who's going to get thrown under the bus, and it's Mike Waltz. I said yesterday or the day before that I thought it was going to be Pete Hegseth that was going to resign, and I'm still going to put my money in that case because he's the easiest one that they can say Pete's got a lot of things in his personal life that are interfering with his ability to do the job. We respect Pete and thank him for his service. I think that's the easiest out for them.
Was that little gaffe a bit Freudian there, my friend? Peg?
What did I do?
Pete Hegseth?
Pegseth?
Did I say Pegseth?
Yeah, well, yeah, you kind of did. And
did I blend them together? We don't kink shame.
We don't kink shame. He can
unless it's Pete Hegseth. I think we can.
Yeah. You know, I'm sure he's a frequent flyer in the JD Vance Hump the Couch Club. Sure, but again, we don't kink shame. But you know what I mean? It's like they're almost setting it up to say to try to find the bag man, the person who's going to go down for this. And I think it's ultimately going to be Hegseth. It has to be. They have to be. That's why. Again, we know that mainstream media does not know how to cover Trump. They don't. That's why we do it. That's why we try to build these building blocks of how these stories just do not. They don't track, right? So
why do you think mainstream media doesn't know how to cover him? Are they just terrified?
Access.
Well, that's fair.
I think it's also because his stream of consciousness is that of a toddler. Adults don't know how to follow that. Like, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
What?
So, again, you know how we talk about, I mentioned this earlier, and again, to our amazing mod team, I mentioned this earlier about how Fridays are take out the trash days. And that's what they use in politics when there's stories that they really don't want to have to shine a light on. I'll give you two examples so far in the Trump administration. The first Friday of their administration is when they did the Night of the Long Knives and they fired all the inspectors general. That happened at like midnight, right? We didn't find out about that through the circles until the following week. The next week was the Pentagon kicking out journalists, the AP, NPR, PBS, and now they're going after fucking Elmo, which is, again, really, really important.
Oh, God, the Sesame Street thing. God, don't
Yeah, so this is just as another example. So what we just learned today, and this sort of tracks with what they're trying to do, Trump's going to sign an EO today directing J.D. Vance to remove improper ideology from the National Zoo and other institutions. President Trump signed an executive order last night directing Vance to remove improper ideology from institutions such as the National Zoo. Once widely respected as a symbol of American excellence and a global icon of cultural achievement, the Smithsonian Institute has in recent years come under the influence of a divisive, race-centered ideology, wrote Trump in his EO. This shift has promoted narratives that portray American and Western values as inherently harmful and oppressive. He continued, "It is the policy of my administration to restore federal sites dedicated to history, including parks and museums, to solemn and uplifting public monuments that remind Americans of our extraordinary heritage, consistent progress towards becoming a more perfect union, and unmatched record of advancing liberty, prosperity, and human flourishing. Museums in our nation's capital should be places where individuals go to learn, not to be subjected to ideological indoctrination or divisive narratives that distort our shared history." President Trump went on to direct Vice President Vance to, quote, work to effectuate the policies of this order made through his role on the Smithsonian Board of Regents with respect to the Smithsonian Institution and its museums, education, and research centers, and the National Zoo because gorillas are woke, including by seeking to remove improper ideology from such properties, and shall recommend to the president any additional actions necessary to fully effectuate this policy. The president also announced that his administration would work to prohibit spending on, quote, exhibits or programs that degrade shared American values, divide Americans based on race, or promote programs or ideologies inconsistent with federal law and policy, and prohibit the American Women's History Museum from recognizing transgender people as women in any respect.
See, now this is why, and I want to point out a comment that just came through. Jassy says, they need to take his EO powers. Damn marker been nonstop since inauguration. Yes. Okay. So this is one of the things that the media could start doing. The president announced, no, replace that with the toddler pulled out his crayons and, right? Because
Okay,
that's what this is. Every time I hear, oh, President Trump wrote an EO. Oh, you mean the toddler pulled out his crayons and said, me no likey. Poof. Right? There's a way to govern. I mean, and it's not that some of his stuff doesn't have, like, whatever, you can have your policies. There's a way we implement policies in our country. Like, what the toddler energy? I freaking can't.
Does anybody actually believe he wrote that? Using a word like effectuate twice?
Oh, Lord, no. He doesn't. No. No.
He could barely use the word the.
And you can tell his truths, the ones that he actually writes and the ones that other people write, based on the M dash use and the dash. Like, you don't even know how to use the M dash. I'm sure you don't.
Yeah, I mean, I just would like to point out that if you've never been to DC and you've never been to the museums there, I cannot recommend it enough. They're free for the most part. Some of the exhibits you have to pay for, but it's incredible. You know, the African Heritage Museum in particular, the Holocaust Remembrance Museum, the Smithsonian, the Air and Space Museum. This is an example. Like we talk about this all the time. One of the attacks on education, the attacks on Black History Month, and all these various moments of recognition and remembrance in our countries, because they don't want history taught. They don't want their voters to know about our history. And you literally are saying that the Smithsonian, that is literally just a museum of our history, is suddenly now fucking woke? I mean,
here's one for you.
Crazy to think about that.
They just told on themselves.
Exactly.
None of them have ever been to the Smithsonian.
Of course not.
So they're just making shit up, right?
Somebody just asked a question, like dinosaurs? Do dinosaurs no longer are they no longer part of the museum?
Right.
Well,
zoo?
There were no dinosaurs because the Earth is only 6,000 years old, and God planted those bones to test our faith.
Right. That's exactly right.
So
I mean, we already know about the Enola Gay being removed from military history books because of the word fucking gay. It's hanging in the Air and Space Museum.
And correct me if I'm wrong, it's named after a black woman.
It's named after the pilot's wife.
That's right. The pilot's wife. That's right.
Wife. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It all speaks to intellectual curiosity. They don't want people to be intellectually curious because they might develop critical thinking skills. Oopsies.
Exactly.
That would not go well.
I can't even believe it. I just read that. Like, to work to effectuate the policies of this order through his role on the Smithsonian Board of Regents with respect to the Smithsonian Institution and its museums, education, and research centers, including to seek to remove improper ideology from such properties, and shall recommend to the president any additional actions necessary to fully effectuate such policies.
And every time somebody argues about when we talk about Christian nationalism and how they're trying to basically reverse any progress that's been made, this is how you do it.
Exactly.
Right? You've already seen them remove persons of color, women, right, queer people from history. We know that the Daughters of the Confederation have made a concerted effort since the 50s to remove and rewrite history, to basically allow for people to believe that the South will rise again. By the way, it's not going to rise again. Just thought you all should know. But the Smithsonian thing, that the worst part about this is that if you've been to Smithsonian, I know Steve has, and I can't even tell you how many times I went there when I lived on the East Coast, but fucking probably from 92 to 2001 or 2003, I bet you I went there at least 20 times to all of them.
Incredible.
Right?
It's
Because
incredible.
it takes so many days to get through them all, right?
Yeah. Around the mall. I mean, what an amazing experience. It's incredible.
Right. I'm waiting to see how many of the monuments to U.S. soldiers they start to remove and replace them with Confederate bullshit.
References to the Tuskegee Airmen. I mean, like,
right.
This to me tracks with just their assault on. I mean, I'm an outdoor enthusiast. I've talked about this before. I mean, some of the places where I go when I need peace and quiet is the woods. It's just something I've done my entire life. And national parks, I've been to 24 national parks in our country. You know, Yosemite, Yellowstone, Glacier, all of them, and not all of them, but a lot of them. And they're some of the most serene and most beautiful places on earth.
Yes.
And it's not debatable. They're incredible. And you know, as someone who believes in protections for the environment, you can show your kids why protecting the environment is so important when you take them to places like this. And now they want to fucking drill there. Like, this is why, again, this goes back to voting. This is why when I talk about protest voters, I give you the big middle finger. Because it's this kind of shit that ultimately can happen when you don't participate in democracy.
I have to believe they've overplayed their hand on all of it, right? Though, like I have to believe that even the cult brain at some point is going to be like, but wait, I want to go to a national park. Like Rocky Mountain National Park is going to be closed this summer because of these cuts. Oh, like you're not going to be able to take that vacation, Jim Bob.
You know as well as I do, if MAGA starts saying, hey, wait a minute, they're going to throw some distraction, and it's going to be trans people, gay people, people of color, whatever. They're going to throw out another distraction in the social framework where the mouth breathers are going to go, oh yeah, I forgot, I don't like boys kissing. Go ahead and drill.
Well, that's true because they've already got them thinking Russia's a good idea to be on that side now. I know.
Rusty, do you know how they're going to get their attention? They're going to ban redneck wrestling.
No. I was in another live and somebody brought up redneck brawls. Somebody said
it's an inside joke between Rusty and I.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I swear that woman was going to eat that turtle.
I swear that there actually is an organization in Kentucky and Georgia. It's headquartered in Kentucky. Let's be real.
No, it's headquartered. They fight in Knoxville, Tennessee.
That's right. They fight in Knoxville, but it's
called redneck wrestling.
Yeah, redneck brawls.
Redneck brawls. Yeah, if you're looking for a little, if you need some,
I might pay to see that. To be honest,
I sent my friend when I first found it. I sent it to him, and I think it's changed his life forever. But listen, if you want a little distraction and you need a little bit of fun in your life, just go and search redneck brawls.
Joy is an act of resistance. I might.
You're welcome. That's all I can tell you. You're welcome.
The fun part is watching all the videos of these people challenging each other.
Oh yeah.
Coming out of the cornfield, and I'm calling you out, Cooter Jim, and we're going to fight in Knoxville, and I don't have no teeth, so I'm not worried about you knocking them out.
Yeah.
Cat Whisperer says, I might want to participate. I don't, you know what? That ain't a bad idea. That might help me take out some of my angst.
But
everybody,
the
please get to our amazing panelists while you're here, please. I appreciate you.
Yeah, the fights themselves are terrible.
No, they're not.
None of these people know how to fight. It's funny as hell. And then, of course,
take their earrings out ahead of time because
they're just clawing at each other.
Commentators. Oh my God, the commentators are comedy gold.
They really are. They really are.
Her titties out. Her titties.
This just came across. This just came across my desk. I
did that once and had to, clean up my keyboard.
Oh my God!
Hey now!
When I said that, as soon as I fucking said it, I knew it. As soon as I said it,
that train was not going to be late.
As soon as I said it,
hard to put that back in your sweet pretty mouth, isn't it?
Yeah, that train actually came early, but that's not. I don't want to talk about it.
I'm gonna need a shower from y'all. And a second shower.
Some disinfectant wipes.
Video or it
perhaps.
didn't happen.
That's true. And on a more serious note, the Trump administration has asked the Supreme Court for permission to resume deporting Venezuelan migrants under the wartime law. They today asked the Supreme Court for permission to resume deportation under the 18th century law, the Alien Enemies Act. The emergency appeal to the High Court follows a rejection of the Republican administration's plea to federal appeals courts in D.C. by a 2-1 vote. A panel of appellate judge left in place an order temporarily prohibiting deportations of migrants under the rarely used Alien Enemies Act. Justice Department argued in court papers that federal courts shouldn't interfere with sensitive diplomatic negotiations. I'm sorry, it's their fucking job. It also claimed that migrants should make their case in federal court in Texas where they are being detained. The order temporarily blocking the deportation was issued by District Judge James E. Boasberg, the chief judge at the federal courthouse in D.C. Trump invoked the Alien Enemies Act for the first time since World War II to justify the deportation of hundreds of migrants. Yeah.
Now, hold on a second. Can I ask this really quick?
Sure.
Can you go back and read the sentence where the Justice Department is saying the federal courts should not interfere? Pause. Yeah. Where does the Supreme Court sit? Question mark.
Mm-hmm.
Top of the federal judiciary.
The
Justice Department. The Justice Department argued in court papers that federal courts shouldn't interfere with sensitive diplomatic negotiations.
But the stacked Supreme Court can because Trump feels they owe him fealty.
Right. And as we've discussed, don't forget, just last week or the week before, it's hard to keep it straight in this fascist hellscape that we live. John Roberts was extremely critical and
I'm encouraged by that. Yeah.
When there was lots of people calling for judges, Elon Musk in particular, for judges to be impeached because the administration just didn't like the ruling. For a justice, let alone the Supreme Court justice, to come out that publicly with that level of criticism, and then where Justice Roberts goes, so does Amy Boney Carrot, in my opinion, because she seems to vote along.
And I'm encouraged by the fact that the right really drag her a lot, and that tells me she's doing that. She's doing okay. Like I'm, not always, but better than I expected of her.
Yeah. I mean, and part of this whole thing, keep in mind, as we know that this whole Alien Enemies Act is just crazy.
Oh, they literally were saying like it's about war, not immigration.
Yeah, it's about let's back up a second. Keep in mind, right, that it was not a coincidence or not just speech writing that during the inaugural address and in other speeches he's given, when he uses the word invasion, I think it was 19 times. Right?
Yes, the messaging.
It's by design, right? It's by design. So because this connects to birthright citizenship too. If you can utilize that and then convince the judiciary based on your argument that these are invaders. Mm-hmm. So therefore, if they're invaders, they're not granted due process rights under our law. Therefore, if they're invaders, they shouldn't have been here to begin with. So if their children are born here, they do not have rights or they can't claim birthright citizenship. So it's all part of the strategy.
Part of the PSYOP.
Right? It's part of the PSYOP.
Yeah. Good call.
I hate it when I'm right.
Yeah.
I really do.
But
that's hot.
That's straight. It's straight on. Solid. On target. Pew.
Yep. I was actually having a conversation or disagreement with my daughter last night, and she's like, "Dad, you're not always right," and I'm like, "Says who?"
Right. You know, I do hate it though. But here's the thing: being neurospicy, I think I usually am because I've thought this thing through from a gajillion different ways. Because that's just how my brain works. I'm 3D chessing on the regular in my head.
Yeah, this isn't even a right or wrong question, right? I mean, it's literally, that's the word that they're using. I mean, it's by design, right?
Words.
Yeah, exactly. He did. In EO number 19, he's used invasion numerous times, and that's the plan, right? Because you're talking about, because the Alien Enemies Act, I'll just look it up.
And the word alien.
Yeah.
Alien enemies.
The Alien is part of 4 laws. Let's see if I can find the actual specifics here.
While you're doing that, friends, please tap. We're at 240 something K. Pretty please. Pretty please use your fingers for good. Do something. If you can't do anything else today, use those fingers. Get us some more likes. Get us pushing. Hit the share. I said, see.
Push it real
Be quiet. Be quiet. Both of you. Be quiet, all of you.
Push it.
Hey, Rusty.
Push it. The screen,
Rusty,
that is.
I'm looking at the map. What's the shape of Italy?
It's a welcoming.
I knew it. Well played, Steve. You plattered that up well. Your presentation skills.
I'm sorry.
Remain unmatched.
I'm sorry, buddy. I love you. You know that. The Alien Enemies Act of 1798 allows the president to detain or deport individuals from nations that are considered enemies during times of war. So again, an invading army, right? That's the whole point behind this whole thing. And I think if we're not paying attention to this kind of shit, which is why we talk about it like we do, this is what they're going to use. They're going to make the claim. They're going to go to the appellate court where they failed, district appellate, and now Supreme Court saying this is an invading army.
Yeah.
This is an invading army. I'm sorry. Children who've crossed the border without their parents because their parents have made the ultimate sacrifice to send their kid to America because they know they're going to have a better life. That kid with the pink backpack and the stuffed animal in their arms is part of an invading army. And they're going to attempt to use that, and they're going to attempt to say that anybody who is here under that guise, they do not only do they not get rights under the law protected by due process, but they're not going to be able to claim birthright citizenship.
Yep. So fuck the Constitution, basically.
Fuck the Constitution.
I mean, this messaging is their number one tool to do the things that they do, right? I mean, and back to the first thing I mentioned when I came up initially, if you haven't read the chat, the Signal chat, aside from the thing that everyone's focusing on, which is the information regarding the actual attack plans, right? Pay attention to the conversation they're having between Couchboy and Whiskey Guy about the fact that what messaging they're going to decide to talk about. And I think there's a few more comments in the chat involved in that too, right? Biden failed, Iran paid. Like, they talk about the messaging and how they're going to continue to shape the narrative if they have any problems with the narrative. Like, it's so telling.
I'm exhausted talking about this shit. I was texting back and forth with a friend last night about how there's this gentleman who unplugged from the news for a year. Ooh. And I'm like, first of all, you privileged fucking white guy that you want to go and talk about how you made this decision about how you unplugged from the news for a year. And I get it. I understand. I mean, I don't consume news. I seek news.
Yeah.
And I think there's a difference there. And like we discussed many, many times in this space, I've talked about this with both of you. You know, the massive fire hose of muzzle velocity of disinformation is what is by design to kind of wear people out, right? They just want to wear us out, and can't let them.
I feel at this point, if I were to unplug from the news, it would be like closing my eyes while driving.
Well, that's by design.
Yeah, like I'm going to crash into something that I wasn't looking out for, and that's going to be astronomically bad.
Yeah, so you talk about psyops all the time, but you're a victim of a psyop, right?
Totally.
You're part of it, and
keenly aware of it. That's the exhausting point, I think, is I'm constantly feeling like I have to be on complete 100% head on a swivel about everything, and avoid myself falling into what my own framework, right? Like, oh yeah, that's bad. Like, so that's, hold on, pull it back. Is it really? Even in watching the media that I do watch, I know, yeah, it's bad, but is it really that? Like, I constantly feel like I have to level set myself.
Keep this in mind too. Like there's little tells that you can hear about how they don't forget they promised the Doge has promised checks for millions of Americans, right? It was supposed to come out in February, then it's gotten pushed off. And notice that they're not talking about that at all anymore. You notice that, right? So this is another example because there's been a lot of heat around Doge specifically as it relates to Social Security. So let's see what Elon has to say about his approach to Social Security, because this is, again, is a little interesting.
How do you reassure people that what you all are doing is not going to affect their benefits?
No, in fact, what we're doing will help their benefits. Legitimate people, as a result of the work of Doge, will receive more Social Security, not less.
That is a bold-faced fucking lie.
Complete lie.
A complete
That's correct.
lie.
And that's
a
only
bold-faced fucking lie.
Only Congress can provide for an increase in Social Security benefits because it has to be done by legislation. It cannot even be slapped into a CR, can't be slapped into a budget. It's a stand-alone item that has to be agreed to. And you have to have a majority. It can't be pushed through either, right?
That's right. So the argument that he's trying to convince the American people of, all this waste, fraud, and abuse we're finding, you need to support it, because if those of you who are legitimately getting Social Security, and by the way, Inspector General's report from last year regarding Social Security, it's less than 1% fraudulent payments over the course of 10 years. Less than 1%. Less than 1%.
They're quick to claw back their
Well,
money if
that.
they accidentally
As a result of the work of Doge, legitimate recipients of Social Security will receive more money, not less money.
All right.
I want to emphasize that point and let the record show that I said this, and it will be proven out to be true. Let's check back on this in the future.
So, Washington Post, the Social Security Administration website crashed 4 times in 10 days this month because the servers were overloaded, blocking millions of retirees and disabled veterans from logging into their online accounts. Freaked people out.
There you go. I mean,
not so efficient.
Elon Musk and his team of camp counselors in training have been in there ripping plugs out of the walls, and people who live on their Social Security benefits. And as a reminder, average payments in America are less than $1,900 per month for recipients. Elon Musk makes $55,000 a second.
And can I just add another point of, fraud, Obi? We know about fraud, right? Fraud is a criminal thing.
That is correct.
In the banking industry, fraud is prosecuted with criminal charges, right?
Yes.
So anybody care to give a guess as to date, how many charges have been levied criminally for fraud as a result of these Doge investigations? Just give a wild guess. Just wild guess.
I can tell you exactly.
I have to reach for my abacus.
Yeah.
I can tell you.
There you go. Just give a wild guess. Just wild guess.
I can tell you exactly.
I have to reach for my abacus. Right.
Wink,
But
wink.
there is no getting around the fact
Our
that.
wife just called you out, by the way. Just saying.
You made the chat.
Oh. Yeah,
Anyway.
God damn. First of all, okay, may I pause here for a second, Steve? Do you
Sure.
mind?
No, I don't.
Okay, so when I joke about how I am literally the stupidest, most intelligent person on the fucking planet, may I humble myself with an example of how stupid and fucking listen, it was written in neon fucking signs. There was like 80 of them as I'm walking down the street. Let me go right to the evidence here. Give me 1 second here.
Sure.
Oh Lord.
Question.
Look at Steve's coloring right now.
Question.
You are pink as pink can be.
2 days ago at 11:55 a.m. Los Angeles times, from someone who may or may not live across a pond, who may or may not be named Erica. So, is this a couples group chat? Our wife replies, "Ha ha, I don't get it." Right? I'm not literally able to get it. Our wife replies, "Is this the hint?" Now listen, I love these people very much, and I speak to them independently. But apparently there was every single jet the United States military has. Every single one, including prop planes from the Smithsonian from World War I and World War II. Literally flying over my head, dropping leaflets of propaganda, and I still couldn't see.
It's so true.
I still couldn't see what was so god dang blatantly obvious.
You may or may not have been the subject of conversation Steve and I had about hints were dropped. They just were not picked up.
You didn't get them all either, AD. So you're part of that. You're part of that club too.
We did not get the hint.
I thought it was the
now we
Onion,
know.
and it was actually a news source. That was the thing.
Okay.
But now we know.
Now we know.
So there you go.
And we love it. Like Swishy says, we love love.
So
I suggest that we have a couples retreat in which we address our shortcomings.
My God.
By the way, our wife, by the way, I don't know if you know, but I know what your husband's doing this evening. Do you want to know?
What is he doing this evening?
He's going to Disney World because there's a Shadows of Memory, a Skywalker saga projection show debuting at Disneyland tonight.
Wait, what?
Yes.
We know. You might have to buy a new chair for him now.
Yep.
He done shifted enough times.
Wait, say that again. What's going on tonight?
At Disneyland, Shadows of Memory, a Skywalker saga projection show debuting tonight at Disneyland.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can't get tickets, though. That sucks.
But when are we going?
We're going the 10th.
When are we going?
April 10th. We're going to the Star Wars night on the 10th.
So I'll need to carry some extra clothing in my Darth Vader go bag.
Take your diaper bag, our wife. Take the diaper bag.
I don't have that. No more.
I hope there's enough tissues for when I cry.
I love that for you.
So there's that. Anywho, yes, you got it, but your husband did not. So and AG did not get it either. So there you go.
Yeah, well,
she's trying to make the claim that she knew, but she didn't know either.
I thought it was the Onion was the source, and it turns out it was actually Legacy Media. It should have been paid attention to better. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, I didn't get it until I was on the live with Erica a couple days ago. And then she basically said, "Hey, I did a note in the furniture chat." I'm like, "What?" And then I went back to the furniture chat, and I was just like, "Is this the hint?" And there you go. That's how I figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My response was, though, the damn wedding better be in British because I need a reason.
Hold on a second. Let's not be starting that rumor.
Listen, we're already ahead because we want a reason to travel.
Pump the brakes a little bit, everybody.
It has nothing to do with you, really. I need a reason to travel. Not that I need a reason, but I want a reason to travel.
AD?
Yes.
Jesus.
I do
Here we go.
believe. I do believe we just found out who Kipper's new friend is.
Ooh, Kipper got a new friend after all.
You see, this is
Kipper
exactly
got
why.
a new
This is
friend
exactly why I
named
don't like to
Buzz.
talk about myself. This is
Kipper's
exactly
new
why.
friend is Buzz. Buzz and Kipper sitting in a
God.
tree.
Okay.
K-I-S-S-I-N-G.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
You're looking really pink there, friend.
Hey,
Love
hey,
it for
listen.
you. Lots of good circulation going on in your face right now.
The way you dropped me yesterday was so awesome. So, but this is all being done with love right now.
He just gave you the Italian treatment, Obi. He just asked you where Italy was. Mm-mm. My God. I love y'all so much.
That was funny.
We'll have started out my Friday with the best.
That was I liked that a lot. That was hilarious.
Well, since I do need to wrap, so let's do our wind down. So since you're here, our
goodness.
wife, it's always a pleasure. I'll give you a final word. Anything that you would like to add to our conversation before your husband kind of comes stalking me for kicking him 2 days in a row.
He came down and did a foot stamp. Sure. That was funny though. I don't have anything to add. I'm very sorry. I was eating my breakfast and I was listening, but I love you guys both.
We love you too.
More.
Goodbye, our wife. Have a good night.
Goodbye.
We
couple
AG,
to follow.
good show today. Lots of stuff as we
phenomenal.
continue to destroy fascism and push back. Lots of other things going on. I think we addressed the elephant in the room to start the show today. So, is there anything that you would like to add to as we close?
I, once again, thank you for yesterday. Thank you for today. And just from a personal standpoint, being able to come here and just vent stuff with you and our amazing community, it helps me because I carry a lot of people's emotional weight just every day. And I have my own, and sometimes I need to vent some stuff. And I really appreciate that you allow me to hang out with you and that I have our community, my chosen family. And I know we're all going through it and we'll get through it together. And that's what we do. And as we were talking, we've been through some things and we got through some things and we'll keep getting through some things. And I love you beyond measure, and I'm glad you're taking care of you. And like I said, when we ended our conversation, on a beautiful note of my besties being besties.
And she's in the chat, by the way, but just apparently doesn't want to come up and talk. That's okay. That's fine.
So shy. I did reach out to her, so yeah. We can chat later.
That's okay. I get it. She's probably working her liberal job. Wait, hold on.
Come on.
Hold on.
So
she can suffer in this process as well. There's already wedding plans being made, Erica.
Yes. I will be your coordinator.
That's interesting.
I mean, it's okay. It's okay. We can work it out. We can work it out.
We can?
Yeah.
Says who?
Me.
Says you?
Yeah, me. It's totally self-serving. It's totally self-serving.
I'm gonna say this again. Steve and I told everyone 2 weeks ago. You just didn't pay any fucking attention.
We've been actually dropping hints longer than that, to be honest.
Yeah, we have been dropping hints longer
It's
than
the
that.
muzzle velocity of everything else. I just, my attention is not where it needs to be, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
But I love it. Thanks for finally pulling back the veil. I love you both.
Like, wait, what's going on? Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see at all. Facts and the Queen.
Yes, Facts and the Queen. Oh my gosh. Title for your podcast.
Shouldn't it be the Queen and Facts, though? Let's be real.
Yes, it should be.
Mm-hmm.
And will be.
Yeah, I should probably be first in that.
There is no should.
But yeah, look, stuff happened over a long period of time. Witch people is how it should happen. It should not be like women.
I mean, it tracks. Like, it's the most obvious thing after it was said. I was like, oh my God, that tracks. It's like, yeah, it's like the thing I've been thinking for the longest, but I gave up my role of Cupid in people's lives. But I'm glad that it worked. I'm glad that it worked anyway.
See, this is why I don't like talking about myself, but that's fine. I'm really happy. Put it that way.
I'm really happy
and very lucky.
Yes.
But listen, neither of us likes talking about ourselves particularly. Neither of us is comfortable with flowers, and that's fine. So we just never say anything nice to each other.
That's the beauty of it. We'll do it for you. I think that's the thing. That's the thing I love about this most is the two of you are so quick to be so out there with everything else but yourselves. And now all of us are just so excited and happy because we love you both so much. And I know I'm going to go ahead and assume and speak for the rest of our community in saying this is like I told you, Steve, I literally screeched, Erica. I told you when I texted you, the way I screeched when he told me. Did I not, Steve? I screeched out loudly.
Yes, there's a whole bunch of cats that are surrounded outside my door. They all showed up at once.
So joyous. I know.
I said to Steve, if you could scream in a text message, that was the text message that I received from you.
Yes, it was. I just am so happy. And listen, joy is what we need right now. And I love that y'all found each other in the way that you did and that we get to enjoy that too, being a part of this chosen fam. And yeah, it's just the best news ever. Real talk. It really is.
Okay. Erica, would you like to say anything before we leave?
Just that I'm very uncomfortable with this.
Oh my God. Eve says, Stevica, here we go.
Jesus.
Here we go. Now we started it.
To be perfectly honest, she and I have discussed this. This is kind of exactly why we didn't talk about it.
No, I figured as much. God damn. It's okay.
So you know what I'm counting on? I am counting on some more fuckery from the Trump administration, so we don't have to talk about this anymore.
But there will be plenty to distract us come next week and on.
Listen,
Yes.
what you don't know is that Steve and I snuck that person into the Signal chat.
Yes.
Just so that no attention was paid to us. Yeah.
That's correct. Yep. That's it.
What happened.
Finally, we know now.
Erica has special double secret access to Signal from being across the pond.
From British.
I have double secret access to a lot of things.
That tracks.
We're going to raid our friend Mo. Everybody go over there and say hello to Mo. Mo is awesome. Erica, is there anything that you would like to say in closing? I know you've probably been listening for a while, but anything that's related to anything but you and I that you would like to talk about?
I haven't been listening for a while because my last class of today were awful. So no, I've been giving detentions left, right, and centre. So no, I haven't been listening. This is I just snuck in like 5 minutes ago, and then it was like.
Did you hear the comment about Kipper actually got a new friend after all? Buzz and Kipper now are new friends.
I think it might be a while before Buzz and Kipper meet each other, to be honest.
Yes.
Be careful. We might have a
true.
GoFundMe for that very thing without you guys even knowing. Yeah, you never know.
Well, for Buzz and Kipper to meet each other, jeez.
Hey, whatever. There is no Facts After Dark tonight. We do it every other week, but we'll be back with that next Friday.
Yes, we will be back next Friday. But there is
thank you both.
MBW
thank you
tonight.
Both. Yes, there is MBW tonight. 9 Eastern, I think, right? 80?
Correct, yes.
Is that right? Yes, so 9 o'clock Eastern time. MBW, please join that. Love you all. Thank you guys for being here. Please, we're going to go raid our friend Mo. And if you wouldn't mind heading on over to YouTube and then maybe subscribing, commenting, and liking over there. And please consider subscribing to our channel. Thank you guys very, very much. Thank you for being a part of this chaos and mayhem every single day.
Wouldn't have it any other way, love.
Thank you, mods. I love